We'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
So we have a motion by, not Satcher, by Commissioner Bearden to approve, seconded by Commissioner Ron.
Can we have a presentation of it?
We will open this up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 21 on today's agenda? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Motion was by Bearden and the second by Commissioner Ron. We'll move forward with the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Madam Clerk, 21 passes unanimously. Number 22, LDCT-22-09, Ordinance 23-15, FKA 22-66, County-Initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment, General Cleanup and Business Process Improvements. We'll entertain motions.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ron and a second by Commissioner Cruz to approve. We'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item 22 on today's agenda? Seeing no one, we will close public comment. We'll hold the vote. All in favor, please say aye. 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 All opposed? Madam Clerk, 22 passes unanimously by a vote of 7-0. Number 23, LDCT-22-13, Ordinance 23-17, FKA 22-69, County-Initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment, Building Height Compatibility and Building Orientation. We'll entertain motions on this one.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ron to approve and a second by Commissioner Ballard. We'll open it up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 23 on today's agenda? Okay, seeing no one, we will close public comment. We'll move forward with the vote. All in favor of item number 23, please say aye. 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 All opposed? Madam Clerk, number 23 passes unanimously by a vote of 7-0. I'm going as quickly as I can. All right. Lastly, number 24, LDCT-22-17, Ordinance number 23-18, FKA 22-74, County-Initiated Land Development Code Text Amendment, calculating density and intensity on mixed-use projects at activity nodes and along urban corridors. Entertaining motions.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Baugh to approve and a second by Commissioner Bearden. We'll open item number 24 up to public comment. Is there anyone in the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 24 on today's agenda? Okay, seeing no one, we're going to close public comment. We'll move forward with the vote. All in favor of 24, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Madam Clerk, item number 24 passes unanimously by a vote of 7-0. Do we have any commissioner comments for the day? No? Okay. Mrs. DePaul, do you have anything in closing? Ms. Shank, do you have anything in closing?
No, thanks.
Okay, we're adjourned. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, and I'm welcoming you to a regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County. It is an absolutely beautiful day today in Manatee County, and we're going to start the day the way we always do. We're going to start by honoring our God and by honoring our great nation. Today we have Pastor Don Suriano from Kingdom Life Christian Church who will be delivering the invocation, after which I'll have you remain standing because we have a special guest today. We have Coach John Carlock, who is here to deliver the pledge. So Coach Carlock is a retired Army veteran. He served in Vietnam, and the medals that he received include the Vietnam Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal. He was an expert M14 and expert carbine. As I said, he served in Nam. He also served at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines, Homestead Air Force Base right here in Florida, and he now currently volunteers with the Honor Guard, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 10141. So if you're able at this time, please stand for the prayer.
Good morning. Thank you for serving us. Would you bow your heads, please? God of heaven and earth, we begin this meeting this morning by honoring you, acknowledging, welcoming, and celebrating your glorious presence. I bless the entire Board of County Commissioners and all that serve our county. I bless every part of their life, declaring over them all, Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Father, your word declares in Psalm 24 that the earth is the Lord's, everything in it, and the world and all who live in it. So we acknowledge this morning that you are in charge, but we are humbled that you have chosen men and women to warden heaven's delegated authority on the earth. With that, I pray a portion of the Lord's Prayer that your will and your kingdom on earth as it is in heaven would be their guiding light as they govern the affairs of our beautiful county. I pray that these leaders would be filled with the abundance of wisdom and discernment. They would be fueled with your divine love, with joy that overflows, with peace that subdues, patience that endures, kindness that reacts, faith that prevails, gentleness of heart, strength of spirit, and a life that's filled with virtue. I pray they would serve with the heart of a king and rule with the heart of a servant, knowing when to be as a lion and when to be as a lamb. I pray they would walk in unity when finding themselves on the roads of diversity, honoring during disagreement, compassion during conflict, and the peace of Christ that surpasses understanding when they find themselves under pressure. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And it is in the name of the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit I pray it all. Amen.
Coach Carlock, if you could lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sir, if you would please remain at the podium, Coach Carlock. So, ladies and gentlemen, Coach John Carlock started coaching baseball at Manatee High School in 1983. He then took over the softball program, the girls' fast-pitch softball, in 1993. Coach Carlock stepped away from softball in 2003, but then came back in 2008 and coached until 2013, which completed his tenure as the all-time leader for wins in softball as a coach at Manatee High School. In total, he spent 13 years coaching baseball, won 160 games as the head baseball coach at Manatee High School. He also won 133 games as a fast-pitch softball coach for a total of 293 wins. Coach Carlock also won 3 state championships as an assistant football coach at Manatee High School. Coach Carlock's greatest joy came from seeing his players move on to the next level, and some even went on to become pros. He has proudly served his nation in uniform, and then he came to Manatee County, where he served in our school system and dedicated his life to the service of this county and to our children for 4 decades. I'm going to hand the gavel over to Vice Chairman Ron, because I would like to make a motion at this time that this board direct the county attorney to draft a proclamation renaming the Manatee High baseball field, which is Baseball Field 4 at GT Bray, the Coach John Carlock Field.
Thank you for your motion. Can I have a second on the motion? Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Is there any discussion with regards to the motion?
We need to take public comment.
Oh, I need to take public comment. Sorry about that. I'll
So-
take public comment right now. Yeah, I am new. I would like to take public comment with regards to naming the park John,
The field.
the
Number
field,
4.
sorry, the field, John Carlock Field. Any public comment?
Yeah, great.
Seeing none, seeing no more public comment, I'll close public comment. All those in favor of the motion, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair also says aye. The motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Coach Carlock, I know I put you on the spot there. I brought up the heads of Parks and Rec behind you, but would you like to say a few words to everyone before we move on with the meeting, sir? We would like to hear from you.
Well, it's been a while since I've been in front of the mic, like at the board meetings with the school board. I was there a few times, but I appreciate you taking the time to look at some of the things. We have a lot of people besides myself that are helping with the students of our county, so we're proud that you're taking the time, and I'm proud to be here. So thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. Mr. Chair, Mike, they're yours.
Thank you, Coach. Humble, as always. We thank you for your dedication to our county and to our kids. We really appreciate it. This is the first of 2 votes, so we directed the attorney to draft the resolution. Thank you, sir. We directed the county attorney to draft the resolution. There'll be a second vote when we actually vote to pass it, and that will be the official naming. So this was a surprise, and I put you on the spot. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a while. But of course, the next opportunity, you can bring your family and bring everyone here for the second vote. So thank you very much, sir. We're now going to recess this meeting, and we're going to go into a Port Authority meeting. So we're in recess.
Oh, I get the gavel and everything. All right. We are opening up the Port Authority meeting. This is strictly a consent agenda meeting. So we will start. Carlos, is there anything you want to say before we go to public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We have a Scribner's error under consent agenda item 1D. It should read beginning October 1st, 2024 instead of 2023. And on the next bullet point, it should read beginning October 1st, 2028 through September 30th, 2038.
Are those corrected in what?
Correct, they are.
Get me to sign over here?
Yes,
All
they
right.
are.
So I'll make sure you're not slipping something by me. All right, I will open this up to public comment before we get to consent. Is there anyone has any public comment specific to Seaport Manatee or any of the items on consent? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Commissioners, is there anything you wanted to pull from the consent agenda? No, then I will entertain motions to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All right, Madam Clerk, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Ron, seconded by Commissioner Satcher. If there are no comments, I will open it up for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, Madam Clerk, it is approved 6-0 with Commissioner Baugh absent. We will now go to any other comments you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just a comment that our next Port Authority meeting will be held at the Port next month on the 16th as a regular Thursday. We expect the meeting to last a couple of hours at that time, but it will be an opportunity for you all to come back to the Port and be able to see and meet with some of our customers, which are very important to us, and an opportunity to be briefed on a number of port issues just related to the port and not take up the time from your regularly scheduled meeting. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, that was something I was going to mention. The director and I had spoken about how we want to handle going out. I know all of you have been to the port, but we have a full chamber there. It's usually a very good meeting. Carlos and his team bring in various tenants. It gives us opportunity to learn more about the security and the forward progress being made and all the dynamic changes that this team is putting forward in the port to keep it as a major economic driver here. So what we had talked about was trying to get out to the port at least once a quarter for longer form meetings to give everyone an opportunity to hear about the great things happening out there. So the next meeting will in fact be at the port and not a 5-minute consent only agenda here. So be prepared for that. It's always a good time and very informative. Are there any other comments from commissioners relative to Port Authority? Seeing none, I will close this Port Authority meeting. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And we're back. So we'll start, commissioners, are there any items you would like pulled from today's consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, yes, there is. I'd like to pull item 21.
21 is Mike Ron. Are there any other items?
Yes. I'd like to pull 12 through 15.
Okay. And this is, and you pulled 21, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have 12 through 15 by Ballard and 21 by Ron. Any others? Okay, we are then going to move on, and we'll go to the county administrator for any changes or announcements regarding today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, updates to the agenda dated January 23rd, 2023. Citizens' comments were added from Brooke Kiefer pertaining to the 59th Street project. Changes to the consent agenda under financial management. Item number 17, adoption of Budget Amendment Resolution B 23-041 and Budget Amendment Resolution B 23-043 for infrastructure sales tax. That item was updated. Under Public Works, item number 42, adoption of Resolution R 23-018 to approve the alignment of 27th Street East. The agenda item was updated to include a revised resolution under item number 44, which is the new item number 52, authorization to install speed humps on Twin Rivers Trail. Under Utilities, item number 46, authorization for the designation and creation of 3 service area districts for residential, sorry, my hearing aids are speaking to me.
Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Under Utilities, item number 45, authorization for the designation and creation of 3 service areas or districts for residential. That item was deleted from the agenda in its entirety. Under County Attorney, under the regular agenda, item number 49, adoption of ordinance number 23-34, repealing the prohibition on the retail sale of cats and dogs. That agenda item was updated. Under Property Management, item number 51, authorization to reinstall the Confederate Memorial Monument was deleted from the agenda. Under Updates dated January 27th, 2023, update to the agenda, which added the Pledge of Allegiance from Coach John Carlock. Under Citizens' Comments, comments were added. Changes to the consent agenda under Administrator, item number 4, adoption of Resolution R23-019, rescinding Resolution R22-042 for Project Woodworking. That was updated to include the revised resolution. Under Community and Veteran Services, item number 14, authorization acceptance of the Library Foundation donation adoption of budget amendments. Resolution Bravo 23-045 was updated to read authorization for the Board of County Commissioners to accept a $55,495 donation. Under Property Management, item number 38, execution of an agreement to sell and purchase with the State of Florida. Department of Transportation for property located at 11808 and 11818 73rd Street East along the east side of Fort Hamer Road, Parrish, Florida 34219 in District 1. That item was moved to presentations upon request, and actually that item was actually further moved to the regular agenda to be the last item under the regular agenda. Utilities, item number 44, authorization to establish solid waste franchise hauler services, frequency of residential services, and number of franchise haulers, negotiated options to reduce residential cost, was added to the agenda under advertised public hearings under administrator. Item number 46, adoption of ordinance 23-30, which repeals ordinance 20-21 and reestablishes section 229-174, granting an economic development ad valorem tax exemption to Power Design, Inc. The item was updated to include revised ordinance 23-30. Under attorney, item number 50, adoption of ordinance number 23-34, repealing the prohibition on the retail sale of cats and dogs. This agenda item was updated to include public comment. Under regular agenda, attorney, under item number 51, adoption of resolution in number 23-023 regarding commissioner aids. The agenda item was updated. Under property management, item number 51, the former item number 51, authorization to reinstall the Confederate monument, was deleted from the agenda. Under Public Works, item number 52, authorization to install speed humps, it was updated to correct typos under the background discussion. And as I mentioned before, item number 49 was moved from advertised public hearings to the regular agenda under property management. And Mr. Chair and Commissioners, that concludes the updates to the agenda.
Thank you, sir. Let's move forward then with Employee of the Month. Everybody's favorite. This month's Employee of the Month is Matthew Davis. So if we have Matthew, his supervisors, and all of his coworkers come down to the podium at this time. Who is here to present?
Good morning. My name is Norman Hagel, and I'm the Fleet Operations Chief here at Manatee County Government. Our fleet supports over 100 departments and includes over 1,700 pieces of equipment. Our technicians work on small boats, tractors, ambulances, buses, compactors, excavators, and light-duty through heavy-duty trucks. We believe our technicians are some of the best in the country, and we provide outstanding performance no matter the situation. In the past 2 years, our department's been awarded top fleet awards from numerous organizations such as 100 Best Fleets, Fleet Masters, and Government Leading Fleets. These awards would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of our technicians. Matt Davis has been with us for approximately 6 years. He currently works at our transit facility and maintains our fixed route buses, trolleys, and handy buses. Matt never shies away from any challenge and works hard to represent Manatee County. His hard work and dedication truly reflects credit upon himself and Manatee County's ACE philosophy.
Good morning, Nicholas Del Rosa, Fleet Maintenance Superintendent, 21-year employee. So Matt Davis, as Norman said, 6.5-year employee. I myself worked along Matt Davis on the floor as a supervisor, and now I'm his superintendent. So obviously I worked shoulder to shoulder and seen what he went through, and now I oversee what he goes through. Matt has always brought optimism, happiness, and all-around positivity to our team. And I say team because that's what we are at Televast. We are a team. We are all linked in a chain. We all bond together. We do things together. We're like brothers. He is diligent and brings positivity to our environment to achieve our goals. His dedication to our team is commendable, as his readiness to do whatever needs to be done for our team, even if it's not technically a part of his job description. No matter the situation, Matt always arises to the occasion. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, Matt. It doesn't go unnoticed. I would also like to take a minute to say not only is today about Matt, but also the other fellow technicians that Matt works with, along with the fellow technicians that I oversee. At our transit facility, these gentlemen not only just repair vehicles, but they instill dedication in their jobs. They are providing safe transportation to the citizens of our community. Without them, the operators and the citizens would not have the ability to move around our town. Thank you. I appreciate it. Matt? Sir? I appreciate your hard work and dedication. Your plaque for Employees of the Month. Thanks again.
I'm sure you're not shy in the garage, so step right up and share a few words with us.
Hi, I just want to say thank you. Outside of the county, worked at dealers, and they don't really generally care if you work hard or not. Just that you're there and you're kind of a number. And I enjoy working in the county. I enjoy working at Televast, and Nick is the best boss I've had. I've learned a ton from him and from everyone else in the shop, and I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
And just Matt, so I help us better understand. So he kind of briefly went over. You're out of Televast, which is where our MCAT fleet is repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just doing like the minibuses, but you're doing, I assume, the larger buses as well, which not all of them are gas powered, right? Entirely.
Most of them are diesel.
Most of them are diesels.
Yeah.
And then do we have natural gas out there yet?
No.
Not yet? Okay. But it is sort of an evolving field that you're in. You know,
Yeah.
as technology changes, so does your job, right?
Yeah.
And you've been there 6.5 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Are you from Manatee County?
No, I moved here like 11 years ago from Massachusetts.
We're glad you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your service to our county. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, next on the agenda here is a proclamation. I believe I gave it to Commissioner Bearden, which is the adoption and presentation of a proclamation for Gulf Coast Games for Life Week. Whomever is here to accept that proclamation, if you would come down, and we'll entertain motions at this time. It's on the board or on your screen, so if we can get a motion to approve the proclamations. Motion by Commissioner Ballard and a second by Commissioner Ron. You can go ahead and cast your votes at this time. We don't take public comment on proclamations. Aye. Jason votes aye. Perfect. The rest of you go ahead and cast your votes. That's a publicly advertised meeting. We're fine. Okay, so it passes by a vote of 6-0, Madam Clerk. It passes unanimously. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you. Proclamation, Board of County Commissioners, Manatee County, Florida. Whereas Gulf Coast Games for Life serves over 500 senior athletes, providing a vehicle for senior citizens to participate in an Olympic-style competition each year. And whereas the Manatee County Parks and Natural Resources, in partnership with the Sarasota County Parks, Recreation and Natural Resources, and the City of Northport Parks and Recreation, promotes a celebration of sportsmanship and competition among the community's seniors, and whereas the Gulf Coast Games for Life is celebrating its 34th anniversary this year and providing fun, fitness, and fellowship for a generation of champions. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that January 14th through February 5th, 2023 shall be known and designated and set aside as Gulf Coast Games for Life Week in Manatee County, Florida, to acknowledge and honor the senior population for its achievements and inspiration during this week-long event, adopted with a quorum present and voting this 31st day of January 2023. Board of County Commissioners, Manatee County, Florida.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Before I give this proclamation to Molly White, I'd like to do a little introduction, please.
I'm just thinking that Parks and Rec, you're the only one who qualifies for the senior games. That's must be why they brought you up here.
Next month.
I'm teasing.
Yeah, I feel good.
We love you,
I wish
Charlie.
I could compete with them. So there is no longer a Parks and Recreation. We are now Sports and Leisure, and that is co-sponsored by not only Carmine D'Amelio, who's not here today, who wish he could. He's watching. I know he is. We also have our newest member, Molly White, Deputy Director of Sports and Leisure. Molly White has a master's degree in education, recreation, tourism. She has a bachelor's degree in exercise science. She's been with the county for 4.5 years under the former Parks and Recreation. Prior to Manatee County government, she was the general manager of a sports complex and event space in Sandusky, Ohio. In the first year of operation, she was honored with recognition from the Ohio House of Representatives, Ohio Department of Development Disabilities, and was named the #1 ballpark with accessible fields every planner should see by Sports Event Magazine. Before joining Sports Force Parks, Molly spent nearly 5 years managing parks and recreation complexes in western Ohio. She has a passion for improving service levels in all aspects of the community, and she's looking forward to taking sports and leisure services to a new level through innovative and thoughtful planning to maximize opportunities and growth. She has a family of 2 girls who enjoys our parks, Addison and Hannah, both 6 and 8 years old. Her husband's Jim, who's a retired law enforcement, and also an 8-year Marine. So welcome, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, County Administrator Dr. Hopes, and County Attorney. I could not be more excited to be in this role to really elevate the sports and leisure programs and services for the county. I look forward with the great staff that I have to really making some changes, elevation through attention to detail, enhancement, and hard work. I have some great staff in the department, some of which are behind me. Another new hire, Miss Amy Middleton, excited to bring her on board. She comes from being a 25-year teacher from Pasco and Hillsborough counties, middle school science teacher. She will be our youth programmer, so you're going to see a huge increase in curriculum and programming for our youth through the county. Very excited for her, as well as Michelle Richardson, who's been with the county for 27 years, here in support of the proclamation. We also have Miss Mandy Green and Miss Rachel DeRosier, who are here in support of the proclamation for the senior games. A couple notes on the senior games. We started ours in Manatee County off with the track and field, where we had an Olympic athlete in attendance, Richard Thompson. Currently, we have the pickleball going on here at GT Bray, which with 75 athletes is the largest event for the senior games. And we finish up this week with bowling as well as golf on Saturday. Thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to bringing you more success with sports and leisure services.
Thank you, Molly, and welcome aboard. So I'm really we used to call it the senior games, not Gulf Coast Games for Life. When this shows how old I am now. And I loved work because I worked at Parks and Rec for a while back when we called it Parks and Rec, and back when we called it the senior games. And I loved when the senior games came around because they, the staff would sort of, have to take on extra duties and work senior games. It was incredible how many people came out, number one, and number two, how good they are. I mean, like, we have some great senior athletes in the county. I usually worked bocce ball, and I can't remember what else. And I think Michelle Richardson probably worked some of those with me when I was there back in the day. But yeah, the senior games are a fantastic event. It's something the press, I would hope, would cover this year. Because it's a great event. It really brings a lot of people from the community together, and it highlights so many of our parks and our great facilities. So I know you'll do a great job. We've already had a few interactions so far, and you're super professional, super knowledgeable. So I'm really glad that you're on board. I'm looking forward to working with you. Commissioners, any other comments on the? No? Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. All right, then we're going to move forward to citizen comment on future agenda items. These are for citizen comments and I do have people signed up. There we go. And these are items that are not on today's agenda, but are likely to appear or could appear on a future agenda or you would like them to appear on a item you'd like to see appear on an agenda before this board in the future. So each person will have 3 minutes, and we ask that when you come to the podium, you state your first name, your last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. If you're here to speak on an agenda item, because I think we have a lot of folks here who don't attend regularly, so if you are here to speak on an item that is on today's agenda, as we go through the agenda, as we call each item, we will have public comment on that specific item. So if your item's on the agenda, you'll want to wait until we reach your item. If it's not on the agenda, we're starting now. Tina Shoup is the first name on the list, and I know it sounds redundant, because I just said your first and last name, but when you get to the podium, for the record, I do need you to state your first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. After Shoup, I have Shannon Keever, and then Jerry Hill, just if you all want to start to kind of queue up behind her. Ma'am?
Okay, thank you. Tina Shope, Manatee County. That's okay. The first thing I'd like to talk about for future agenda is I would like the board to reconsider allowing citizens to call in during public comment. There are many citizens who are unable to travel here to sit through the meeting, especially if they have a comment on a particular agenda item. And I think it might improve citizen participation. Secondly, and probably the most important thing I want to talk about is considering reinstalling the Confederate monument. I know it was removed from the agenda for today, but I am concerned it will be put back on a future agenda. I don't understand how reasonable people think it's a good idea to erect a monument that glorifies crimes against humanity. No one can seriously think that glorifying slavery, glorifying those who supported slavery, glorifying people who fought against the government of the United States, how can that be a good idea? All of you took an oath when you came into office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. How can you say you support the Constitution when you want to glorify those who fought against the United States? Please, please, do not erect a monument that glorifies hate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so again, I know a lot of you don't regularly attend. So this is a board of the county commissioners, and you can only sort of speak out or, being recognized when you're recognized by the chair. So that includes applauding or booing or hissing or, any other fun things you want to do. Otherwise, it's considered disrupting a public meeting. So remember, you're only recognized when you're at the podium and you've been recognized by the chair. Ma'am, first and last name, county of residence, you have 3 minutes.
Shannon Keever, Manatee County. Last week you were ready to vote on reinstalling the Confederate monument, but when asked several times why you took it off, you refused to answer. We don't trust that you've put this issue to rest, but I certainly hope that we're wrong. It's time for you to stop these divisive culture wars that have nothing to do with the constituents and do your jobs to serve the people of Manatee County who elected you. I propose that you make a statement about what is to be done with the monument, if anything, and that you vow never to replace it at the courthouse again. It's traumatized citizens daily for decades, and that is not what this community is about going into the future. The board needs to call for the resignation of Vanessa Baugh. She admitted her gross violation in front of the ethics board, but she's never apologized or shown remorse or contrition to us, the people she tried to pull the stunt
That's
on.
not something this board would vote on, ma'am. So future agenda items, please.
Well, she needs to resign. I think everybody agrees. Several people have asked me about how to speak here at public meetings. Thank you so much for getting back to me yesterday, Commissioner Cruz. I appreciate it. The call-in feature was widely popular. We are still in a pandemic, and not everybody can physically come to places that have a lot of people. There's still a lot of immunocompromised people in our community who can't physically be here. COVID aside, not everybody can make it here in the middle of Tuesdays. You should be thrilled to have so many citizens eager to be involved, and you should reinstate the ability to call in. I would also propose that you change the times of the BOCC meetings, or at least do one night meeting a month, to allow people who work in the middle of the day to be more involved, because it's even hard to call in for some people who are working. Several citizens, including me, have called for the board to work on a formal agreement defining accountability, ethics, and civility, and to formally pledge to live by that agreement here in your roles as commissioners. We would also like to see all of you and other government employees sign a transparency agreement. We have the Sunshine Law for a very good reason, so that everything you do in your public role as public servants is open and out in the beautiful Florida sunshine. We haven't seen you address this, but seeing as multiple people have requested it, there's never been a better time than now for you to address it. And Commissioner Bearden, I think you should ban the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Jerry Hill. Jerry Hill. So please state your first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. After Mr. Hill is Seneca Bristol. Hoping I'm getting these names right. Seneca Bristol will be after Mr. Hill. Sir?
Yes, I'm Gerald Hill, and I'm a resident of Manatee County. And I'm also speaking on the issue of reinstalling the Confederate monument on our public property. Commissioners, do not reinstall the Confederate memorial at our historic courthouse, nor anywhere else in Manatee County. It is repugnant that any person would be forced to view this memorial to racism and insurrection as they walk to a public courthouse dedicated to justice for all. Our public property and resources should not be devoted to hatred. The statue was taken down from the site in 2017 because the public thought it was despicable, a monument memorializing slavery in the Jim Crow era of racial injustice. Returning it to this site would be telling the world, in effect, yes, we in Manatee County, Florida, think that slavery and racial discrimination are just fine. Everyone else in the United States is tearing down their Confederate statues, but we like them so much, we're putting our statue back up again. And we're asking our taxpayers to pay to put together the broken pieces of the statue they toppled in 2017. Commissioners, please vote against reinstallation of the Confederate statue. Let's put Manatee County on the right side of history.
Thank you, sir. Next is Seneca Bristol. Hopefully I got that right. After which is Lola Smith.
Hello, my name is Seneca Bristol. I am from Manatee County. I'm going to be talking about the Confederate statue. I am the Vice President of the youth chapter for Women's Voices Southwest Florida, and I'm here to tell you that I am against going back in time. I'm against us continuously being proud of our disgusting history. People want to say it's to show appreciation to their ancestors, but why would we want to appreciate the time when they did inhuman things to other human beings? Do you see Germans wearing swastikas? I hope not. The Confederacy rose up against the U.S. in an act of treason. That's all you have up there, people that were traitors to this country. For America to grow, we must honor the heroes that fought against slavery. But it's always land of the free until it comes to black people. Also, I agree with Bearden that we should ban the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Lola Smith. And then Sarah, she didn't make it, okay. And then Sarah Hill. And then Sarah Parker will be after Miss Hill.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hill. I'm from Manatee County, and I'm here on behalf of Women's Voices of Southwest Florida to talk about you guys wanting to put up the Confederacy statue again. So, the Confederacy stands for hate, and they stood for slavery, and I don't think that people should see that on the courthouse, who are coming here for equality and justice, and putting a Confederacy statue that is just bizarre for people to want to put that back up. It was taken down for a reason, and you guys want to put it back up, and I just think that's crazy. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Sarah Parker. After which is Harrison Lundy.
Hi, my name is Sarah Parker, Women's Voice of Southwest Florida. I am a Sarasota County resident. I missed you guys. It's always really exciting to see you all. So I want to go ahead and get into it. One of the first things I want to bring up is it is one day before Black History Month. One day. Now, one proclamation was for Black history. But what you guys did do prior to that was attempt to reinstall the Confederate statue on this day. Now, you pulled it. We see, you pulled it. You pulled it after you knew that everyone was organizing. This is the second time. The first time it was leaked to me and to Women's Voices, and y'all got upset about that. This is the second time it's come up in 2 years, and each time you guys keep pulling. If you're gonna do it, you need to make sure the citizens know you're going to do it with time. People had to take off of work. Unfortunately, once you take off of work, Commissioner Hopes, and I'm saying that on purpose because he acts like one, when you take off work, you don't get to go back on the schedule, straight up. That's problematic. No one told us why that happened. Further, this statue was never erected during the Confederacy. And actually, I'm talking to friends that are actually like into the Civil War, into Civil War reenactments. Stonewall Jackson didn't fight many wars down here. All the people that are on that statue have nothing to do with Manatee County at all, period. It was put up by the Daughters of the Confederacy. Now, they want to spend $40,000, and you want to go through all the right-wingers that want to put it up and get money. That totally makes sense. Do that. But don't put it on public property. Do not use taxpayer money for that. When it was reinstalled there, or put there, you know they sung a minstrel song? I don't know if y'all know what a minstrel song is, but that's called blackface. They sung that song when they put it up there. I don't know if y'all watched the MSNBC article and watched the video. I went and watched it. Furthermore, it was put up as propaganda. This was during the time of civil rights. This was so black people wouldn't go vote. This is so they knew when they walked into the courthouse that they were pretty much damn near being lynched. That is problematic. It is completely problematic. And I know you can't put on anyone being fired or resigning, but you can put this on the agenda. I watched the entire ethics meeting, and she was told to come here and face her constituents, even though there's an empty chair there, and tell everyone she did wrong. She was told that during that meeting.
That's nothing we would vote on, ma'am.
Well, you should put it on the agenda.
You know that.
Okay. Well, we're expecting, and not only are we expecting, we're demanding accountability. During Black History Month, we celebrate Black accomplishments. We celebrate all the amazing things that Black people did for this country. We celebrate the fact that we were taken over here and forced to work in this country, forced to be slaves. We celebrate how we came from that. We celebrate how we built from that. We literally came from the bottom. How dare none of you bring up the fact that this is Black History Month today? Like, it's the eve of it. And how dare you have ever put that on the schedule? Sometimes racism isn't blatant, it's inherent. And this is inherent.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Harrison Lundy, followed by Ruth Beltran. Harrison Lundy, then Ruth Beltran.
Good morning, Commission. Good morning, Mr. Chair. You'll have to excuse my voice. I have a bit of allergies this morning. Harrison Lundy, Hillsborough County. I'm also with Women's Voices of Southwest Florida. I'm joining all of them in denouncing that this Confederate monument be erected. We are trying to honor, or there's like a very small minority of people that are trying to honor a Confederate figure or figures who simply don't represent the people who live in this community. And while I know people in this community, there are people here who I love quite a lot, actually. But there are also people who these are people who don't feel safe here. It's barely a fight for their lives because it's also a fight for their safety, the right to feel secure here without, being targeted. But these are people in my life who don't feel safe. And celebrating a Confederate figure, especially in a time like now, is not telling history. I know there's this push, like, we got to tell history, right? We got to tell history. We got to tell, I know it's ugly, but we got to tell history. But why is there a monument dedicated to some of the worst people in our history and not to the countless slaves, the countless people that have been oppressed and affected and killed under a lot of these people's influence? And so I can't speak, maybe for the whole organization, but if that's what we want so badly, fine. But you have to put up something that represents the entire history, because that's what people want here, right? Or are we just trying to play into some more dangerous rhetoric that was popular in 2017, that was responsible for police brutality, that was responsible for countless ICE raids? There's a reason that these monuments were taken down to begin with, because it's a safety issue. And to build these kinds of things, to use county funds to erect hateful marks like this in front of a courthouse is one of the most, it's one of the most hateful, it's one of those unbecoming things that the commission could do. Knowing the people who make up this city, who make up this county, a large majority do not want this. And so if you want something so badly in front of that courthouse, do not let it be a symbol of hate. Don't let it be something that has centuries of generational trauma for countless people here, for countless communities across this country and across this state. And I understand that it's a hard process or whatever, but I think the hardest thing that a lot of us are gonna, the hardest thing for a lot of us, I think, is gonna have to be going back to our communities, talking to the people that we've been talking to, the people that we love close to us, knowing that their safety is being ripped from them gradually. This is a gradual thing, and a lot of us are scared of what's gonna come next if this thing gets erected. So don't let this happen in your county. Don't let this happen to the people who live here. Don't fail our Black and brown and indigenous communities down. Don't give these hateful people of our present, of our past, any platform. Don't hold any space for them. Thank you.
Thank you. So next is Ruth Beltran, followed by Jack Wallace, and then Carla Correa. Ruth Beltran, Jack Wallace, Carla Correa. And first and last name, county of residence, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Ruth Beltran, and I reside here in Manatee County. I am here to speak regarding the monument, the Confederate monument that you want to reinstate. It's mind-blowing that all of you are sitting here spending time on things that are not needed in our community and wanting to spend $40,000 reinstating a monument that represents the racist history of this country. You have in Manatee County over 2,000 students, 2,000 children who are houseless. Put the money there. Between 2021 and 22, veterans homelessness here in Manatee County, it went up by 102%. Put the money there. Workers in Manatee County are making miserable wages that are not enough to pay for rent in this market. The new generation cannot even think about buying a property in this market. We have teachers who are underpaid. We have teachers who cannot afford to live here, yet you want to spend $40,000 on some monument that we, the people, that's what I mean, already fought to have removed back in 2017, and fate broke it in 3 places. Do better. I know that your immediate needs are met. You probably live in nice houses and drive nice cars, but this community, that's not the reality for this community. So when you want to waste people's time, like me being here is a waste of our time. We already removed that monument back in 2017. You should be ashamed of yourselves that when 2,000 children are houseless in your county, this is the best use of time and money that you can think of. It's shameful. Put money for the working class. Housing needs to be affordable. Bring up minimum wage. It has to be a living wage. Pay your teachers a living wage. There are some ideas if you don't know what to do with taxpayers' money, you know, the money that comes straight out of our pockets and into your budgets. There are some ideas. So I really hope that you take a hard look at what you are doing as county commissioners, what you are doing with the resources of our county. I understand that we live in a dictatorship when only you and you and you only decide how our public taxes money are used. But we are people, and we will stand up, and take a stand against this monument, and for the working class and all the people that are struggling in your county, where you just look around for, fuckery to spend your time with. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Jack Wallace, followed by Carla Correa, and then Walter. I'm not gonna butcher it on you, Walter, but I think you know who you are. So Jack Wallace, Carla Correa, and then Walter.
Hello, my name is Jack Wallace. I'm a resident of Manatee County. I'm here to speak on the Confederate statue issue. As like many of the speakers have already said, the statue originally came down in 2017 after immense public protests. It glorifies the leaders of the Confederacy and the soldiers of the Confederacy who fought to preserve the abhorrent practice of slavery. It was erected in 1924, the era of Jim Crow and one of intense racial violence. The year prior, the infamous Rosewood Massacre occurred only 120 miles north of Bradenton, where an entire black town was destroyed. These statutes glorify the white supremacist character of the U.S. capitalist system. They serve to intimidate black people all across the country. It would cost over $40,000 to repair and erect this statue again. With over 2,000 homeless children in the county, there are bigger priorities to tackle. The Manatee County Commission must not put this back on the agenda. They must not, and if it is, they need to vote it down. Because any vote for reinstating this Confederate statue is a vote for white supremacy. It's a vote for racism, and that would be what you would be enshrining publicly on your public land here in Manatee County. And I don't think that's something that really you should stand for. The public will come out again, as they always do. There will be organizations coming to make immense public ruckus, to make immense public protest again. And hopefully, maybe we can actually destroy it this time instead of y'all busting it up when you were trying to take it down. Maybe use some of the $40,000 to destroy it. That would be fine. Just destroy it. Get rid of it, and don't bring it back on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Carla Correa. And sorry, and people do this to my name all the time, so I feel your pain.
All right. Yes, Manatee County. So I do want to echo Carla Correa. I do want to echo the demand to allow community members to call into the meeting. And you will have to excuse my voice today, too, because I was out the other night in the streets protesting against the brutal murder of Tyree Nichols in Memphis, and I'm ready to lose my voice again if this statue moves forward. Protesting, and so are the audience members. Taking this item off the agenda was a good move today, because besides the violent racists in this city, this measure is extremely unpopular, and we better not see this agenda item come up again, because you know we're coming out. We are vigilantly watching this agenda, and we are ready to mobilize at any given moment against you people, you racist people. You people are a manifestation
So,
that
ma'am, we
racism,
don't make derogatory
racism
comments.
is alive and well.
Ma'am, you're going to pause for a second so I can let you know about the decorum. We don't make
I read the
derogatory comments. It doesn't seem that you did.
Pause for time.
That you did. So please refrain from derogatory comments.
Racism is alive and well today. And again, this is clear evidence of this, where in Manatee County, access to justice, freedom, and basic rights are still largely dependent on race. Confederate monuments were built around the United States during two booms, during the Jim Crow era and during the 1950s and 1960s as a backlash to the civil rights movement. Well, this type of behavior, this is going to bring back a new civil rights movement, because the people aren't going to stand for these types of symbols of white supremacy and slavery. And not to mention the cost, $40,000 with over 2,000 homeless children here. We have bigger issues to tackle. If this is erected again, just know there will be mass protests. This struggle is going to bring more fighters into the struggle against racism and white supremacy, which is an ideology and system built and perpetuated by the capitalist system. That's why we're fighting for socialism. And we're not just going to fight, we're not going to fight to just end this manifestation of racism. We're going to fight until every manifestation of racism is ended. And just so you know, just to remind you, there was $30,000 of money spent in overtime pay when that protest happened in 2017 to remove this statue. So if you want to do that again, go ahead, because we're ready to come out and fight back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Walter, and then Betty Rhodes. I didn't see Mrs. Sales Rhodes. Is she? Okay. Walter, are you here? Is there anyone here named Walter? Okay, sir, you're next, sir. Has nothing to do with this. But this is future agenda items, so if you're here to speak on any future agenda item, now is the time to do that, unless you're speaking on an item that is on the agenda. If you're here to speak on an item that's not on today's agenda, now is your opportunity to speak, sir. Okay. Walter, you're next, ma'am.
I agree with all of them are saying, though, just.
Sure. First and last name, your county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Walter Sarkozy, Manatee County resident for 29 plus years. I do have some papers here to issue out to you. at this time.
David will collect those from you, and he'll pass them out, or the clerk. Well, David, can you get those from her so she can continue? Go ahead, sir.
I'm here today to ask you to deny a permit for 6719 3rd Street, Court West in Bradenton, Florida, 34207, to install a side door on that house. A separate independent AC unit has already been permitted and installed for that same side of the house. Electrical and plumbing work was done to establish separate units within the house, mostly without permits and being falsified by the homeowner. By issuing the permit for the separate entrance door, you're allowing that property to become a multifamily house on its own residential single-family property. The definition of duplex property is a house divided.
Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt this gentleman, but this sounds like it's probably a quasi-judicial matter and probably not one that's within the board's jurisdiction at this point, but could be appealed to the board at some point. So I would ask him respectfully to just hold off and see if we get to that point in the process before the board can, you can address the board.
Sir, you live in my district. Why don't you just email this to, I have this in my hand anyway, but if you could just email me something brief, and I'll look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, it'll just be referred to the appropriate staff person. to
Obviously,
deal with.
yeah.
Yeah, I did reach out, and it seems like it's been just falling through the cracks.
Did you
of the
email me?
system.
Mr. Chair,
I don't believe you emailed me.
I have it, and I'll make
Okay,
sure that.
we'll look into it. We have it,
Thank
and
you
we'll look
very
into it.
much.
Thank you. But email me so I have your contact info. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Sales Rhodes. After which is Tala Shadiq, and then Katie. We're on a first-name basis now.
Good morning, Betty Sales Rose. Happy New Year to you all, because this is my first time back. But I need to tell you all something, to all the commissioners up there. Do you realize that you work for the people of Manatee County? You need to stop pushing your own agenda. And by meaning this, why bring back a statute that was taken down in 2017? And I'm going to tell you something. Yes, I march and will march again. Always been marching all my life here in Manatee County, to the courthouse, integrated the Palace Theater, and whatever come here, I'm going to do it again, because I'm going to fight for the right of all people. All people. Now, the money that you're going to spend on this statute, $40,000, why don't you all, some of you all can go in your neighborhood where your district at and use that money. Now, I know my district really can use it, and District 2. Those $40,000, you can come and use it. Now, Kale, I'm really upset with you. Last year, I sent you a picture of one of your employees with Trump on a county truck, which you know you're not supposed to have that. And I gave you the tag number. I'm going to do it again, 56788. I never did hear from you. Never did. So you telling me you must believe in that kind of work, for you can have an employee of yours with a Trump sign on a Manatee County truck. That's a no-no. That is a no-no, and I sent it to you. Now, we got to stop, really, neglecting the needs of the citizen of Manatee County, pushing your personal agenda. I don't care if you're a Republican. I'm not scared of Republicans, and I am a Democrat. And I go hard on a Republican and a Democrat when I feel like it. So just because you all up there and this whole board of Republicans right here, Sales Rose is not scared of you all. I'm not. I'm not scared, because I'm going to speak my opinion. And we got some of them that's really hiding behind the goat sheep, if you know what I mean. You got to stop doing it. Okay, and another thing I need, I sent something, Amanda, you told me to send it to the county enforcement office about out in District 2, and which I did. You get the runaround at co-enforcement here in Manatee County. If you go out on 21st Street in District 2 in Palmetto, Florida, off US 41, you look to the left where Oatmeal, that place look like a migrant camp with boards up like a back door. That's a hazard. And I did send it to Manatee County Enforcement. Now, y'all got to wake up, man, and do y'all job. Y'all worrying about this statue? Don't bring it back. Because I was there when they pulled it down and really thought my opinion was on TV because that's how I am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I just want to address I forwarded on your email about the vehicle with the sticker on the back, and it was removed immediately. I just
But you
neglected
didn't get back with me,
right.
K.O.
And I neglected to respond to you, and I apologize.
And could
But I did take care of it right away.
And Miss Rhodes,
Hold
it's
on,
me.
we're in public comment.
I
Hold
know,
on.
but you responded. I was.
We're not. Next is Taylor Shadiq,
Okay,
followed
yes.
by Katie.
About that. Email me about the code enforcement.
Okay, all right.
Next is Tyler Shadiq. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that close to accurately. No? Okay. Katie. And then Ruth Lawler. And then I have Gerald Hill again, but he already spoke. So if there's a different Gerald Hill. And a Jerry Hill. Yeah. Okay. Ma'am, first and last name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Katie Danhe Sametz, for the record, Manatee County. And I noticed that this morning we pledged allegiance to the United States of America and not the Confederate States of Insurrection. And that is my graceful segue into this future agenda item. As in the interest of time, I would like to echo the sentiment of just about everybody in here who's come up to speak so far, speaking on the money, where it could go, 2,000 houseless kids. We've got kids that are in school lunch debt. And when this was taken off the agenda and the board failed to add the proclamation that we get every year that honors Black History Month, that was a huge, true showing of Dixie colors, right? And thinking back on it, actually, I'm wondering if they can do that with the Stop Woke Act. I'm not sure if that's maybe they can't. Okay, so you can. Oh, it's the shortest month of the year already. So back to it. Over 130 Confederate statues have been taken down across the country, right? And not one has been put back up. This county and the constituents here deserve better than the reputation we already have, thanks to sitting members of this board over the last couple of years. And I would actually, on record, like to let everybody listening know that Women's Voices of Southwest Florida is offering a free T-shirt to whomever can get us the date for when this will be rescheduled to, because we have not received it yet. So if you can get us a date for when this will be back on the agenda from anyone here on the board, we'll get you a free shirt. We'll pay shipping and everything like that. We will. Hopefully that's transparent enough. And I'd also like to echo, the requests for... I'd also like to, the requests for allowing call-in comment, right? Everybody can't be here on a Tuesday. We have to take off of work. We have to take, time away from our families to be here. Call-in comment is important. Y'all work for these constituents. You don't work for, developers. You don't work for the Republican Party. You work for Manatee County. And every voice is important. Every single constituent deserves to be heard. So I would like to very, very strongly echo the sentiments. I'll explain the internet. How much time do I have? Okay, so don't put the statue back up. Allow us to call in comment because our voices matter. And in regards to the internet, yes, at the last meeting, Commissioner Bearden brought up a very good point. We can just go online and buy dogs from the internet, Why isn't anybody trying to ban the internet? We can go online, we can buy wives from other countries on the internet. The woke liberal agenda is on the internet. So I'd also like to see maybe an agenda item that brings Manatee County back to dial-up, and that might help, with some of these problems that are important enough to take away from work that can actually be done. 12 seconds. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Ruth Lawler. And then I have Xavier Fisher. There are a lot of duplicate names, but then Xavier Fisher is a non-duplicate name. Ma'am? Okay.
My name is Ruth Lawler. I'm a Manatee County resident for over 60 years. It is time you did your job. Instead of chasing the Confederate monuments, banning abortion with no clinics, censoring what is displayed in libraries, arming county employees, spending time in $500,000 on a ferry, taking over an island market, arguing over island parking, and reinstating pet sales from puppy mills. Yet, you consistently rubber-stamped what developers have asked for. Let's look at impact fees. Impact fees were set at 90% in 2015, schools at 100%. In spring of 2021, a county-authorized study found that impact fees should increase by 35% to have new residents pay their fair share of what the county must provide in schools, roads, emergency facilities, and other infrastructure. The commissioners did nothing. Where am I? Okay, legislative year 2022, and our commissioners were aware that the Florida Impact Fee Act, if passed, would further limit their ability to increase impact fees. Did the commissioners increase them? No. All the projects you brag about now were started in the prior administration, and in fact, you stopped one, Lena Road, that was foresighted for future needs. Finally, you took out bonds, $70 million. Taxpayers are now on the hook for that to do the construction of needed infrastructure. This was done because interest rates were low, but construction must use that funding in 3 years. Because there is a shortage of workers and materials, it is very likely that this will not be the case done in 3 years. And not only have you pushed the funding of facilities for new houses on future homeowners, but you will be refinancing at peak interest rates. Did you really think low interest rates would last forever? You have cost existing taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. Do your job and get concessions from developers when they request a change that financially benefits them. Plan for future and do smart growth. Save whatever you can of the millions of lost dollars and raise impact fees now. Then you can play around with ferries and clams and street markets.
Thank you, ma'am. Joseph Molnar, M-O-L-N-A-R, Joseph Molnar. And this will be our last public commenter. We've exceeded our 30-minute time limitation on it. Okay.
I can speak. Yeah. It's Matthew. We're speaking together if that's.
That is not okay. Joseph Molnar can speak. He's recognized by the chair for 3 minutes. First and last name, county of residence, sir.
Joseph Molnar, Pinellas County. So my name's Joseph. I'm here today on behalf of Septic Sucks, a citizen-led effort calling on the state and county elected officials to address these septic systems that are ruining our water. Over the past couple of weeks, we have spoken to hundreds of members of our community. Everyone has a different story to share, but the reality stays the same. Septic sucks and the status quo must go. We've been told the red tide caused by septic tanks has to be stopped. We had another gentleman named Eric who has told us that taking his jet ski out onto the Manatee River is a passion of his and should be something that generations and generations get to do. We had another lady named Sarah who mentioned to us that having an older septic tank has left her vulnerable to a hurricane, but that replacing it with one with better nutrient removal technology is too expensive for her budget to bear. As we've spoken to hundreds of people around our region, one thing has become clear. Most people have no idea that the environmental dangers old septic systems pose to our water, our health, and our state. We call on this county commission to work to help residents like Sarah who want to do their part in keeping our waterways clean by banning future septic tank projects. Or require that they contain nutrient removal technology and working with the state government to help fund these replacements and upgrades. The future of our state and our water rely on this work, and we ask you for your support for a fight for a healthy future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to close public comment at this time. There are 2 commissioners on the board who wish to speak, Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Ballard. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I'll be reasonably quick. First off, about a couple of these comments about the night meetings. It's something we did talk about at one point in time. This is an early comment from Shannon. The issue is, like today, we're going to end up sitting here for 8 to 10 hours. It's hard to do a 6 p.m. meeting and be doing a meeting until 2 in the morning. I believe we all try to make ourselves available. I've been doing, I set up a town hall a month, every single month, the various libraries. I had a number of people come out. Things that people asked me and things people wanted me to look into, I immediately went back to all the relevant directors and started looking into it to get back to them. My next one is February 22nd, 6 p.m. out at the Island Branch Library. You can find them every single month as a different one in a different district. I'll take any comments you have or any concerns you have, and I'll relay them internally. I know that's not as convenient as coming here, but to the extent people can come, I intentionally set them at 6 p.m. to avoid work hours if people want to come afterward. Relative to septic, I 100% agree with you on the septic thing. I'm a big proponent of septic to sewer and fixing that problem. It's obviously a costly problem, but one that I agree needs to be done. I have talked to people up at Tallahassee about it and looked into how we can do that, especially out by our waterways. We have a couple of pockets that are kind of problematic that for various reasons we've had a hard time facilitating the conversion to sewer, but it's something we are working on. As for the last one, which is the vast majority of the comments, I don't know why the Confederate monument was taken off the agenda. It was taken off last week. I'm hoping that was just people coming to realization when 99.999% of the comments we got were negative against it. I've talked to a lot of people in this county, and not from one perceived side. I've talked to people way on the other side of the spectrum that called me and flat out said they did not like this. I mean, people that you wouldn't assume, but it's because I think this is a little bit more of a universal dislike of this than people maybe perceived it to be. I can't guarantee anything. I'm one of 7 people, but I can all but guarantee that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that does not go in front of that courthouse. I think I've got more votes than people want to let on to. I don't think this is the direction this board wanted to go, and it was short-sighted to put it on the agenda in the first place. I'm hoping it does come back, not because I want it to come back. I voted against putting it on the agenda in the first place. But this is just going to be an endless cloud over this board until it comes back and we get to some resolution, whatever that resolution may be. When it does come back, I'm not going to vote to spend 1 penny fixing that. If somebody wants to set up a GoFundMe, knock yourself out. But I'm not using taxpayer money to fix this thing. I'm not voting to put it in front of the courthouse. I think the best thing to do, like we do with all of our, obsolete and outdated assets in the county, is just surplus it and let somebody bid on it privately and do whatever they want with it privately. Because I think this is a conversation that didn't need to happen, but now that it's been brought out, it does need to happen. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later so we can get on with business. We just went up to Tallahassee last week and had great conversations because they were county-related conversations. We talked about infrastructure. We talked about foster care. We met with all of our legislators. We made some good progress. We talked about port needs. They were great conversations because they were county-related, because nobody in Tallahassee wants to talk to us about a Confederate monument, and rightfully so. So when we focused, we were a great team, and we were moving Manatee County forward. This does not help. So hopefully it does come back sooner rather than later so we can put this to rest.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ballard.
So I do agree with much of what Commissioner Cruz said. I grew up in South Carolina. My family was in South Carolina for a very long time. And that being said, I am as Southern as they come, but I understand that putting that monument back up is divisive, it's hurtful, and it's not something that I want to see. I am actually, and I do think it's I think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. I'm interested in getting community input on a different kind of monument, because I am in favor of history, and I'd like to show our county's full history with regard to civil rights, slavery, all of those things. So I'd like some community input on possibly putting up a statue commemorating the history of civil rights in Manatee County, and seeing if there is community interest in using taxpayer funds for that type of monument. If there's not interest in spending taxpayer money on that, I think that's completely valid too. I do agree with Commissioner Cruz that this is something that, now that it's been brought up, it does have to be addressed, because it will be a cloud over the board. I was one of 2 commissioners who voted not to put this on an agenda, but now that it's here, I do think that it's something that we have to address. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We're entertaining motions on consent. Consent is minus items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 21.
Mr. Chair, I'm on the board, I believe.
I am too.
You're not on the board?
Yeah, the internet's not working over here. I
Yeah, because
request.
I'm on there too.
We have banned the internet, and so now, all right, Commissioner Satcher, Commissioner Satcher, and then Commissioner Bearden, and then we will move for approval of consent, and just for the folks down there below, consent will be minus 12, 13, 14, 15, and 21, and that should give you enough time to get it on the board. Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And aside, my high school had a senior superlative for wittiest, and if you had gone to my high school, you would have been the far and away winner of that award. So sometimes I think it's important, we come to a spot where maybe clarity should be promoted even over agreement. And so I just wanted to be clear about some of the things that I'm seeing and hearing. We had some of our friends, it's always exciting when they come from the Voices of Southwest Florida, speaking out against, multiple things, but they mentioned that they were against, or they were in favor of banning the sale of puppies in Manatee County. Yep, they mentioned it, and no one mentioned it, or no one objected to it. And also, it's very obvious and multiple times that this crew also is a big supporter of Planned Parenthood. And so just for clarity, I wanted to point out Dr. Deborah Nucatello. She's a Senior Director for Medical Services, or was, at Planned Parenthood Federation of America. She was recorded over salad and dinner negotiating the sale of body parts from deceased dead babies from a result of abortion. So I just think that it's important we're clear. We have people here that are okay with supporting an organization that's okay with selling baby parts, but we're not okay with selling a puppy. I think that to a family that wants a puppy. So I think that if nothing else, I haven't even expressed my opinion on that, but I am expressing it's important we be clear. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding the monument, I did a little bit of research and history on that, because I think it's important that we know exactly where that monument came from and when it was placed. And so in 1924, we all know that it was erected at the courthouse. 1925, the same organization that erected it at the courthouse also donated the Gamble Plantation to the state. So it must have been a few months after the fact, right, that the monument was erected after the plantation was donated. That being said, I'm not in favor of putting it back at the courthouse, okay? I'm not in favor of that. However, I do not want to erase our history. I want to know exactly, right, where we come from. Because now, look, point of order, please, that we're never going back to, right? There's already Confederate monuments at the Gamble Plantation as we speak today, right?
Mr. Chairman,
So-
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yep.
We've got to maintain some decorum in this room. We've got a lot to do today.
Right.
This is a place where people come and they are recognized to speak without interruption. They need to respect the same rules for everybody else. It's a government meeting, so I would ask everybody here to please respect the rules of decorum.
Well, I would agree with you, sir, and if, this is something that's not on the agenda that commissioners have chosen to speak about, and we could have moved on with the meeting by now if we weren't still on the subject. But if you all have asked for the floor, I give it to you.
So
You
I-
can say whatever you like.
Yep. So I want to ensure that if we do put this up with, obviously, as a lot of commissioners said, with a history lesson of where we've come from and where we're at today, right? To put it in a place such as the Gamble Plantation, which I think is a proper place to put that, right? Well, we need to speak to somebody in regards to that, okay? So we really need to look at this because, like I said, I want to see exactly to go into a direction where we're not ever going to go back to, right? And it belongs in a museum, right? It belongs in a museum. And that museum, I believe, that I'm going to push for, it go at the Gamble Plantation. And that's just where I'm at. Okay, there's already Confederate monuments there as we speak. That's the perfect place for it. Okay, with a history lesson behind it. But I am not in favor of putting it back at the courthouse. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. So we have a motion by Commissioner Ron and a second by Commissioner Cruz to approve the consent agenda minus items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 21. We'll open this to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on today's consent agenda minus items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 21? Okay, seeing no one. You want to speak on consent, ma'am? Well, that's all we're doing right now, ma'am, is consent agenda. No, you hold up. We're only doing consent at this time. All right, we're going to maintain proper decorum, or I'll have you removed. I will have you removed from the chamber if you do not sit down. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, commissioners, we'll close public comment, and we can cast our votes at this time on consent, minus 12, 13, 14, 15, and 21. All right, it passes unanimously, Madam Clerk, by a vote of 6-0. We will then go to items, we'll do numerically, we'll start with item number 12, and we'll turn this over to Commissioner Ballard. She pulled items 12 through 15. If possible, you want to hold those all together, I'll give you the floor now.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to address them all together because I think that the concerns that I have relate to all of the issues. So these are grants for library materials, I believe, for the new library. My only concern is the restrictions that are placed on the materials that can be purchased with those grants. Obviously, I'm in favor of getting the best and the most materials for our library and not spending taxpayer dollars on that. But I'm just curious and maybe concerned about any restrictions that are placed on the materials that can be purchased with said grants.
All right. Is that on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for asking your question. Oh, I'm sorry. Tammy Parrott, Library Services Manager for the county. The $100,000 that is coming from the Friends of the Lakewood Ranch Library does have some restrictions, but the restrictions are only that we use a portion for large print materials, children materials, and Spanish language materials. There are no other restrictions on any of the funds for the Lakewood Ranch. There's no restriction on the funds that are coming from the Library Foundation, and there are the only restrictions on the Eaton funds is it's used for the local history group. And the $55,000 is actually a reimbursement for the master plan disbursement.
Okay, wonderful. That actually answers my questions perfectly, and I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Guys, I have a couple of other just questions for the lay of the land.
Mr. Washington, Ms.
Mr.
Barrett,
Washington.
if you come back to the podium, please, we have commissioners on the board with questions. And David, if you guys could go ahead and put these items together for a vote, a motion.
Give me just a moment, Mr. Chair, a couple of seconds. And our internet's great. We have banned the internet apparently today. So on these materials and these books, I am concerned, and I would have rather done this behind the scenes, so I will not read the article that I'm looking at. But I'm concerned. I was looking and researching a little bit about the ALA, and then they had an event, and the way the article states it, it sounds like we were defending putting explicit books in front of children. And I want to make sure we're not doing that with our money. And honestly, and researching ALA, you go through their tenets, and one of them is literacy. That's great. One of them is transforming libraries. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but there's probably about 9 of them, and a lot of the other ones are just, it's just words that are used to push a woke agenda. And so I want to make sure that, that if this is taxpayer money, I mean, is that what we're doing with this? Sure. Please don't make, what a weak argument. How much money are we spending on this library? And because someone pays to actually buy the individual book, we're going to say it's not taxpayer money? Obviously, we have used taxpayer money to fund the library system, and I am not comfortable with that being used to also push a woke agenda. And this article quotes people that are employed by Manatee County, and it looks very much like they are the ones defending when a parent, literally it says, in a situation where a parent comes and says, this has explicit material and drawings, I'm not okay with this being in the children's section. And then we have 2 different library professionals, one of them joining us today, giving their way of redirecting the parent, not responding to the complaint or taking out the material, but their way of redirecting the parent and protecting, I say protecting, I mean, it's basically circumventing the parent's right to choose what the child reads and to raise the child the way that they see fit to raise them. If a parent wants to go get an explicit book, that's a different discussion, but I'm concerned. When I read this article just last night, I would have spoken with offline about this, would have preferred to do it offline, but please tell me I'm wrong and that that's not what we're doing here with our library system. I want to be wrong. Thank you.
So Commissioner Satcher, if I may dialogue with you, a lot of people share those concerns. Obviously, it's sort of something that's bubbled up to the surface in the media and social media and that sort of thing. You're right to want to have that discussion privately with Dr. Hopes and Mrs. Parrott and Mr. Washington. Keep in mind that all of our staff and administration, they serve at the will of this board. They serve the citizens of this county, and are loyal to the taxpayers of this county. We are sent here representing those taxpayers, so via proxy, they carry out the will of the board. So unless there is a policy in place now where she is, that she's violating, I think she's carrying out the will, and obviously the board has changed over, but this board hasn't given her or Mr. Washington clear direction on these matters. And so I just sort of want to jump in front of the bus here, for staff and say they're carrying out the last direction they were given by the board. So we need to, and if you want to, take the lead on that. My understanding was that Commissioner Ballard was sort of taking the lead on this, but if we need to bring some policies and some direction forward so that staff can follow that direction
And may I,
and make it be known that that is the will of the board.
may I dialogue?
Yes, ma'am.
And we do have our library's work session coming up. I believe it's scheduled for next month where we can discuss all of these things further. My biggest concern with this funding was, what are we going to be required to purchase materials that are not in line with the will of the majority of taxpayers in Manatee County? And if not, should we be rejecting that and then paying for the books ourselves, therefore choosing the types of books that we feel are appropriate? It sounds to me like we're not being required to purchase any certain types of books that are not appropriate or that push a certain agenda. So I personally am fine with accepting the funds, but we are going to have further discussions on libraries next month.
So does knowing that a workshop is coming and then you having the opportunity to sit down with Hopes and Washington and Parrott, does that suffice for now?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
great. Thank you. We're going to open this to public comment at this time. I will advise the public that while the board got very off topic on this matter, public comment will be restricted simply to items 12, 13, 14, and 15 and the merits of those specific items on today's agenda. So no one has signed up for public comment, but is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on any of these 4 items? Ma'am. And again, we got off topic, but public comment needs to stay on topic on these specific grants. First, last name, county residence.
Shannon Keever, Manatee County. Good morning. I'll be brief. I'm in support of accepting a grant for our libraries. Commissioner Ron, I was thinking about you this past week because we've had talks about libraries and how great they've been for my children. Personally, as a homeschooling mom, I use it all the time. I actually took a bunch of pictures I was going to send to you and say, look at all the things we're doing at the library. So I think I could probably speak for everybody in this room when I say that I don't think anybody wants like pornography in the libraries. I definitely think that would be inappropriate. So having a discussion about what kind of materials end up in the library is a great idea. I would love to listen in on that workshop. But I definitely think that accepting the money that we can have for the libraries, I mean, it's a way for the public to have access to information, and that is, I think, one of the greatest things about living in this county is how our library system has been so, what's the word? I guess I'm not that brief. I love it. I love the libraries. Bring all the books, all the non-pornographic books into the libraries, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am? No, I'm sorry. I was referring to the other ma'am. Yes, you. Yes. I don't know your name, so I have to go with ma'am. So first and last name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Graciela Greenberg. I live in Manatee County. I was an educator for many, many years. And I feel that we're going back to burning books during Nazi era.
So ma'am, we're staying specific to these 4 agenda items, which are the grants. Okay.
Yes, I'm getting to it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Banning literature that should be available in all the libraries for everyone to read is indispensable in a democracy. Mr. Satcher, if you don't want your kids to look at the pornographic books,
Ma'am,
don't let them.
Ma'am, that's not the items that are on today's agenda, and public comment is for those specific items, please.
The items that in the agenda items 14, 15 should be money that is used for the libraries to improve the quality of information that we have available. And by the way, Mr. Satcher mentioned something to the effect that he didn't know what this was as part of the grant. It is to improve technology in the schools, so those little homeless children in Manatee County can go and use the computers in the library to do their homework, to do their research. So please, come back to reality. Education and everything that is in print should be available to everyone. It's like pornography. You don't want to go to an adult show? Don't go.
Thank you, ma'am.
You know? So please, do not deprive people who want to learn, who want to explore, to want to deal with other issues. And the problem is that part of it is the DEI that all of you want to get rid of, because diversity is where you learn what you learn in the library. When you read books published and written by other authors that are not American, world literature is filled with excellent, excellent literature. And the fact that they are bringing Spanish language books to the library as part of the Lakewood Ranch donation is fantastic. I am a member of the library. I'm at the library all the time, I read all the time, and I would love to see books in Spanish, and possibly in French, and in Italian, and in Hebrew, all the languages that I can speak, and I have no access to. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and well timed. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on these 4 agenda items? Oh, yes, ma'am. So please state your first name, your last name, your county of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on items 12 through 15, which are the grants.
Mr. Kao. I'm Jeanette Eubanks Kelly. I'm a resident of Palmetto, Manatee County. I've been here for at least 54, 55 years. I came from St. Augustine, the oldest city in the nation. And I couldn't speak on the other one, but I will do that at a further date. But I am a retired teacher, and I agree with the young lady over there that we should, if you want to do away with books, then you censor them like you do everything else. You censor the movies, but make it available, but make all of the reading material, the literature available for people that really want to read. I'm a reader too, an avid reader, and I don't want to be going to a library that I can't find what I want to read about. So I think that we should support the librarians and the library and make sure that we have material that will fit each person. And I will be back on the other, because I was dressed for today. I just came in a little late because I got something for you. And Mr. Hopes and Mrs. Ballard, thank you so much for visiting with us the other day. And you will be seeing me again. I almost missed this meeting. I'd say, oh my goodness, I got to get up and be here by 9 o'clock. Retired teachers, you know, you can get up when you want to.
Thank you,
And do
ma'am.
what you want to all the time. So I'm going to try to be, because I see a lot of things here that we need to address.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
I know that this is a red county and a red state, but I'm a Democrat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on these 4 library grants? Okay, hearing none, we're going to close public comment. And just for clarification, while we ended public comment on future agenda items earlier, because we hit our time limit, we will reopen future agenda items at the conclusion of the meeting if there's anyone here who wants to speak on a future agenda item at the end. So we've closed public comment. There are no commissioners on the board for discussion. Motion has been made by Commissioner Cruz to approve items 12 through 15, which we are holding together. The second was made by Van Ostenbridge, and we may cast our votes at this time. Madam Clerk, items 12 through 15 held together, passed by a vote of 6-0. We have a 10:30 scheduled recess that we're going to take now. It's 10:37. It'll be a 10-minute recess. It's 10:38. We will return at 10:48. We're in recess. Okay, welcome back. We do have a consent item left that was pulled by Commissioner Ron. He's not here at this time, so we're going to move ahead through the agenda, and I'm just going to exercise chairman's privilege, and I'm going to move ahead to item number 50. And item number 50 is a public hearing presentation scheduled. It's the repealing of the prohibition of the retail sale on cats and dogs. It's a county attorney item, so I'll turn this over to Mr. Clegg.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I am County Attorney Bill Clegg, and item 50 is a public hearing for the adoption, to consider the adoption of Ordinance 23-34, which would, if adopted, repeal Ordinance 21-28, which established a prohibition on the retail sale of cats and dogs in the county, and it is a legislative item. As the board is well aware, during the meeting of the 10th, I provided to you a report on the litigation concerning Ordinance 21-28, and at the conclusion of that report, the board adopted a motion directing me to advertise and schedule this public hearing to consider this ordinance, which would repeal that prohibition. In the interest of sort of maintaining the right discussion for this decision, I'm not going to repeat the details of the report that I gave to the board last time, because this is a public hearing to consider a legislative policy decision, and I don't want to turn it into a public hearing to litigate the case in front of the cameras. So respectfully, I would ask all of those who are here today to participate in the discussion to try to focus as much on that legislative policy question of whether the board wants to continue this current prohibition or repeal it. And that, of course, is something that county commissioners are elected to do. That's what boards do. They make policy decisions. And once again, I recognize and I respect that there are strongly held opinions on both sides of this issue, but this is how democracy works. If the board wants to maintain the policy, then we'll go back and continue to litigate it. I did express to you some concerns about that last time and what it could ultimately cost, but it's something that we can do if that's the board's decision. But if that's not something that the board feels we ought to be doing, then I would suggest that the board consider adopting this ordinance to repeal the prohibition. And so that's all I have, Mr. Chair, to begin the discussion. I would suggest we just follow our normal procedure for legislative public hearings, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that commissioners may have.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have three commissioners on the board, Commissioner Ron, Commissioner Cruz, and Commissioner Ballard. Commissioner Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. County Attorney, for bringing this forward again, and thank you for bringing this, the repeal of this ordinance. Once again, I stand on the fact that we should not legislate business, legally operating business in Manatee County. We should not shut down businesses in Manatee County that employ people, that provide a service to someone that wants to have that service. This is a issue of not, pet mills or whatever. This is an issue of allowing two businesses to operate in Manatee County that have operated for some time, one for well over 20 years, and if they were doing something incorrect or something wrong, the market would have shut them down. The market didn't shut them down. They've continued to operate. They've continued to provide services. Like Commissioner Van Ostenbridge said at the last meeting, if someone wants to spend $3,000 for a dog, that's their decision to do. It's not mine to tell them they can't do it. Also, the judge in this matter has basically indicated that this would have no impact on puppy mills in the state of Florida. If we want to change the puppy mills laws in the state of Florida, let's do it at the state level where it belongs and change those and outlaw puppy mills. Also, I would say that I would have personally no problem. I've been to both Petlands. Now, I had no problem buying a dog from Petland if I wanted to, but I know there's some bad operators in the system. I'm sure there is, and we need to shut those operators down. But we have two great businesses here in Manatee County that support Manatee County, that support our sheriff and the K-9 units, that contribute to different charities, that bring in school kids, that help the schools with different items that the schools might need. And granted, everybody keeps saying we don't want to shut their business down. We just want to tell them to change their business. Well, it's not my right to change their business of a legally operating business in Manatee County. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to vote for repealing this ordinance, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cruz.
I think the entire discussion we're having here is misguided relative to everything. I mean, we're having this discussion, let's remember, because we're kind of hiding behind the county attorney saying that this is a long process, expensive, and we're unsure about what's going to happen. We are sure about what's going to happen. There's over 70 municipalities in this state alone, and every one of them won their case. The precedent is set that this is something that can be won. This isn't something where most people have lost their case, and we're hoping to be the first one to fight this. Every single one. The only one that, as far as I'm aware, and I haven't researched every one of them. The only ones that haven't were ones like Sarasota, and that's because the one in Sarasota moved to Manatee County, and Orange, which is still ongoing right now. That's the situation, and people want to. I know someone's going to come out because we always hide behind this is constitutional or unconstitutional, and that the Constitution says if they're silent on something, it goes down to the state level. If the state's silent on something, it goes to the local level. If it's unconstitutional, how did those other 70 municipalities succeed with judges voting in their favor? How did multiple states succeed in statewide bans? None of us up here are constitutional scholars. None of us up here are legal experts. But judges who have all deemed this is fully acceptable thing to do for the best interest of a community. You know, we sit up here, and I don't disagree with what people are saying relative to checking books, whoever, but by this logic, let the market dictate what books are in our library. If nobody checks them out, we'll stop spending money on those books. But we all agree up here, that's something we need to look at because we need to protect other people. But what are we doing? We're potentially harming the authors, we're harming the publishers because we feel that's in the best interest of this community. We're looking out for the best interest of this community. I agreed with the ordinance when it came up the first time. I disagree with shutting this down solely because we want to run away from ordinances because we're still fighting much longer legal battles, much more expensive legal battles, right this exact minute in this county over developments. And do we want to tell those neighborhoods that are trusting us to fight developers pushing back on Bert Harris that, you know what, at some point in time it's going to get too long, too expensive, we're just going to bow down and let them build what they want to build on that land that a previous board voted against because we hit a threshold of cost or time or tolerance to fight for what we think is right in Manatee County. This was a long thought out, long debated process here in Manatee County that was voted on favorably. If you want to ban it, if you want to repeal this ban, repeal it because you flat out don't like the ban. Don't repeal it because the county attorney says this is going to be a tough battle or this is an expensive battle. You're setting a bad precedent for this county by saying that there's a limit to how long we're going to fight this. You're setting a bad precedent for the state of Florida and all these other municipalities who now are going to hesitate on these potential bans because we're going to be the ones held up. We're going to be the county that caved in and walked away from it, and it's going to harm all these other these municipalities and cities and counties that are going to try to do the right thing. And I agree if we have to take it to the state level. I have been taking it I've talked to people at the state level, and I'll continue to take it to the state level if necessary. So I think this is misguided, and if you're going to repeal it for the reasons you actually have and not for misguided hiding behind what's otherwise a winnable legal battle.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ballard.
So I believe that banning puppy mills is a very laudable goal. It is a good thing to do. We all love cats and dogs. We love our pets. But unfortunately, this ordinance doesn't achieve the goal that it purports to achieve. What it does is it takes legally operating businesses that are regulated, it shuts them down, and it sends breeding underground. You're not going to stop the underground breeders with this kind of law. So I think that this is something that has to be addressed at the state level. It's not something that you can piecemeal at the local level and prevent puppy mills. It is, like I said, it's a nice idea, but this is really just a feel-good kind of ordinance. It doesn't do what we want it to do. I will also say that it is a waste of taxpayer funds. Also, as an attorney, it is very, very common for a client to get to a certain point in litigation and say, you know what, the juice isn't worth the squeeze for me anymore. That is a very, very, very common thing to do. So I don't think that it's setting a bad precedent. I think that it's being responsible with taxpayer dollars. And I think that we can look back and say, you know what, there were good intentions here, but this ordinance didn't do what we wanted it to do. We're spending a lot of taxpayer funds, and it's time to remedy that and say, you know what, we made a mistake, so let's step back from it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I'm looking at this whole situation, and I see a quote from Attorney General Ashley Moody, who said, "We are securing financial relief for Floridians who purchase sick and dying puppies when they thought they were bringing home a healthy family pet. I'm glad that through this action, my Consumer Protection Division was able to obtain thousands of dollars for harmed consumers, as well as an injunctive relief to prevent these defendants from deceiving others in the future." Now, if this was if this particular scenario, right, where this particular business is legally selling puppies, right, I think our Attorney General knows the Constitution well enough to be able to shut down a legally operating business at any time. But she didn't, because she knows the Constitution. She knows the Constitution. What did she do? She put an extra protective measure on the consumer, right, instead of shutting down a business. If I'm willing to vote against this, of repealing this ordinance, then I'm willing to vote to put mask mandates on people, to make sure that vaccines are mandatory, and everything else that's against my constitutional rights. And I'm just not willing to do that, knowing the fact that we all stand up, we all raised our right hand to defend the Constitution. Our primary role of elected officials is to protect the rights of the people, and that includes small businesses who are legally purchasing their inventory, their puppies, from legal entities that are approved by the USDA. This issue is not a local issue. This issue, right, is more of a federal issue. If we're going to shut down perfectly legal businesses, right, that needs to go at the federal level, and that's not at the local level. It's not our job to shut down small businesses, because if we didn't do this, and I'm assuming the majority of their sales come from selling puppies, right, then we would be shutting down that small business, and I'm not willing to do that at any time, because that is breaching on their constitutional rights, period. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. No other, oh, we do somewhat, it's probably Satcher. Let me look. It is Commissioner Satcher, always sneaking in at the last second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to just disagree with a little bit of the way things have been phrased. Maybe not disagree as much as just point out, I don't think anyone is hiding on this issue. I mean, people are putting this on the agenda. It's right here in the public. People are consistent about their views and why they have them. And when we disagree with someone, you know, it's easy for us to put our way of thinking and say, oh, well, they must be hiding because they need an excuse. But maybe they believe what they're saying. And in fact, I think that this board probably does. So I wanted to point that out, not to get too much into the weeds or too particular, but we can disagree and we can have a vote and we can move on without assuming the other person is doing anything other than what they believe the best they can do in the job that they are elected to perform. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, there are no other commissioners on the board for discussion, so we're going to move into public comment. I have a list of names who have signed up for public comment. June Shanahan is first, followed by Stacy Gilkinson is second. So as you make your way to the podium, the procedure here is You start off by stating your first name, your last name, and your county of residence, and then you have 3 minutes to speak on this topic.
Thank you. My name is June Shanahan, and I live at Manatee County. I found it to be very concerning while reading the article titled, "County May Reverse Ban on Retail Sale of Dogs, Cats," intended to repeal Ordinance 2128 featured in the Bradenton Herald on the 17th of January. The deplorable conditions in which too many animals live day after day with no relief in sight should speak volumes. And I find it hard to believe that the 6 members who voted to overturn 2128 took the time to carefully research what goes on in these breeding facilities. To pass it off as Commissioner Bearden does in the article, a ban that infringes on companies' rights is simplistic. And for the commissioner to suggest that it's not our job to regulate where they get their puppies from, that's a job for the federal government, is unreasonable. These changes should begin at the local level or state level. The federal government is much too busy indulging itself at the trough of self-gratification to worry about these cruelties. It's already wasting too much time and money on alternative energy that's killing whales off the northeast coast, eagles, and other wildlife in unprecedented numbers without a second thought to show any compassion for puppies or cats. We're talking about man's best friend, historically proven companions that have made such immeasurable contributions to our lives and that of society that neither human interaction or medications combined can rival. A partial list of beneficiaries include young and old alike, veterans, handicapped, disabled who rely on service support animals, as well as companions for the lonely and infirm. This includes dogs, cats, and others. They visit nursing homes and hospitals to rally the sick, depressed, forgotten, and put a smile on a nervous child's face. This is well documented. These animals deserve to be treated humanely and with respect. And as far as the prospect of this ordinance having a negative impact on businesses is another weak argument. Businesses have always and will continue to be faced with all types of challenges to survive in this increasingly dynamic, competitive environment. This is by no means unique to Petland. Petland stores need to reinvent themselves to stay solvent, as other resourceful businesses have done in the past and will continue to need to do in the future. I'm asking the commissioners to search their memories to determine whether even more substantial financial and/or legal resources have been allocated to less critical matters in the past or will be going forward. And also, I'd like to assume that monetary campaign contributions, including the $2,000 referenced in this article, would sway anybody's vote. I heard Commissioner Bearden speak at the Women of Manatee County Republican last fall, and he has an impressive resume. I voted for him, but going forward, I'm not so sure. I'm asking Commissioner Bearden to contemplate reconsidering his position and persuade his like-minded colleagues to do the same. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Stacy Gilkinson?
Yes. Stacy Mazza-Gilkison, Manatee County. I'm not going to waste your time up here trying to convince you to keep it. You guys have already made up your mind. We see that. So I just want to address a couple things. Number one, Commissioner Cruz, thank you very much for supporting this. And you have great views, and I wish they would listen to you, but obviously they're not going to. Another issue is Commissioner Ron and Commissioner Bearden. Last time we were up here speaking, you both brought up different issues and wondering why we didn't bring up internet sales of puppies and why we didn't bring up animal testing, the millions of dollars for animal testing. Well, when we're up here speaking and we come off topic, we're chastised for it. But yet then when we don't bring up all the other issues about puppies, we're chastised for it. So you need to kind of make up your mind about, do we want to bring up all the injustices in the world? Probably not. And one thing about those injustices is, you know, as humans, we have enough compassion to care about more than one thing at a time. We can talk about and care about the homeless, and we can care about the puppies. So just because we're not up here talking about it doesn't mean this is all we care about. And I'm going to say it again because we had talked about it. We're not trying to put Petland out of business. All of these people with the red shirts saying, don't take my jobs, we're not trying to take their jobs. I'm a business owner. You said, how would you like if I said, you need to change your business plan? You know, it's funny because as a business owner, I get that actually a couple times. And so I have to change it. Why? Because I'm a good business owner. I'm going to keep my business. I'm going to keep my employees. I'm going to do what I can to keep my business open. I'm not going to go, oh, well, they changed it, so I'm just going to sue. No, that's not how it works. We change, and we go by the law, and we keep our employees, and we keep our employees happy. That's what a good business owner does. And we're talking about the puppy and the puppy mills, and I just want to briefly say, you know, you're saying that it's not going to take away, it's not going to, the chain of command with the puppy mills if we have them stop selling puppies. It's supply and demand. Number one, reputable breeders do not sell to puppy stores. They want to know where their puppies are going because they love their puppies. And then, Commissioner Ron, you said you went to Petland and you spoke to them and you spoke to the breeders. You said that. It's like, well, Petland sells from all over the country. So all of their breeders were at Petland at one time. You spoke to all of them. And how do you know they're reputable breeders? Did you see the facilities? Please keep the band.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Mrs. Christina Arriaga, followed by Laura Weiss. So again, it's repetitive, but first and last name, county residence.
Hi, Christina Arriaga, Manatee County. Again, thank you, Mr. Cruz. I appreciate your support. So I moved to Florida 2 years ago, where I come from Texas, where I ran a rescue. Our rescue worked with Dallas, so many animals, developed a transport program to get these animals out of the state just to save their lives. I'm seeing a lot of it here in Florida too. While our shelter, Manatee County Animal Services, is awesome and they are no kill, meaning 90% or more live release, the shelter is still very full and very burdened. When I moved here and I went and met with the Manatee County shelter, I told them I wanted to help. There were a lot of dogs that had been sitting there for months or even years that I felt that I could help with my rescue connections around the country. I'm now on the board of Friends of Manatee County Animal Services, and our Traveling Paws program has sent 124 dogs to partners in 10 northern states so far from our county shelter. My experience with transporting dogs has made me very familiar with CVI forms, which are required to transport dogs across state lines. There are some of these forms in the documents provided to you by the Humane Society. These documents show where the puppies came from and where they were shipped to. The originating facilities on those forms are known puppy mills who have violated very loose USDA regulations. Again, those regulations allow breeders to have up to 1,000 animals on their property. They allow the animals to be in cages only 6 inches bigger than the animal, and they allow the animals to be reproduced over and over and over again. This is proof that by rescinding your ordinance, you're supporting puppy mills because these animals, these CVI forms, show you where they're coming from. At your last meeting, I gave you brochures from both Best Friends and Bailing Out Benji with a lot of information on puppy mills. You also have the HSUS 160-page document, which shows that our local Petland stores are directly affiliated with these puppy mills. You have everything that you need to know what the right thing to do is. You know better. Now please do better and do not rescind the ordinance. National organizations are watching what you're doing today, right now. You have a choice to be heroes or to be an embarrassment. And as far as this is not a local issue, it is a local issue because you're supporting this practice, and your constituents have voiced their opinion and do not approve of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. And this is public comment, but thank you for all that you do to help us relocate so many of our shelter dogs. The board really does appreciate your efforts. Laura Weiss, followed by Sarah Parker, and then Lucy Casella.
Hi there, I'm Laura Weiss. I'm one of your constituents. I live in Manatee County. We want to continue enforcing the ordinance. We want to ban the sale of puppies in retail sales. Let's just call this what it is. It's a cruel and greedy industry. Animals are being trafficked. That's really it. Animals are being trafficked. If you saw pictures of what goes on in puppy mills, and we're encouraging this. We can't put an end to all this today, but why should Manatee County support this industry? Why should we do this? We're better than that. We should be progressive. We're human beings. We're good people. Why should we support this ugly, disgusting, cruel industry? We don't want to put these guys out of business. We don't want shut down their jobs. But you know what? If their stores can only stay afloat by selling these puppies, then maybe they should go out of business. But we don't want that. And I mean, these guys are really nice coming in behalf of their store. And these are all young, happy faces, all young people. They're happy to have a job. I don't think they really know where these dogs are coming from. I don't think they really, really, really know. I think they're good people that love animals. And would we ever have human baby mills? I mean, there is a need for babies. Well, it could happen. So, I mean, it's a fact. Dogs need our voice. Why not just change the Petlands business model? Bring the shelter animals in. And people will just pay for dogs that had their vaccinations, spay, neuter. But I mean, there's so many sheltered dogs. And there also are other facilities that have designer dogs, like one of our other people were saying that breeders, actually there are specialty breeders and they take a lot of pride in their puppies and they interview you. And they're out there. There's so many of them. I mean, USDA cannot monitor these puppy mills. It's out of control. We just shouldn't be supporting them. Like you said, you know, if you don't want something, then you just don't encourage it. You don't buy into it. So you have the proof in your possession that Petland did purchase from the puppy mills. When they said they didn't, come on, Manatee County, come on. This is bad. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Sarah Parker. Is Ms. Parker here? Okay. Then next is Lucy Casella. Ma'am? First and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, County Commissioners. My name is Lucy Casella. I'm a resident of Parish in Manatee County. Prior to moving to Manatee County, I served as the city clerk of Fort Lauderdale for over 10 years. And I sat up on the dais with my esteemed mayor and commissioners, so I understand the struggle that you're going through right now with these items that are controversial. I'm also a volunteer dog walker for the Lakewood Ranch Humane Society, so I do see there is a huge number of unwanted pets, dogs, cats, puppies, kittens, in our county, and of course it's a nationwide issue. Our very own esteemed Attorney General Ashley Moody has uncovered a lot of evidence showing deficiencies with these types of stores. I trust her, and I trust that she is privy to evidence that a civilian like myself may not be. Like I said, your county shelters are bulging with unwanted animals, and I urge you to please make them a priority. I know that other pet stores do encourage adoption, and they actually offer animals from the shelters up for adoption. I applaud them, and I give them my business, okay? The day that the shelters run low on animals is the day that we can consider from reputable breeders, but unfortunately, our Attorney General has seen otherwise at other stores. As for the regulation of business, certain businesses should be regulated. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we don't sell alcohol and cigarettes to minors, and I certainly would never approve of a business owner saying, oh, well, you know, you're infringing on my right to sell certain things. They are regulated. Just like, thank God, we don't allow the sale of child pornography, right? To protect our children, to protect our public. And even though somebody will say, okay, a puppy mill is not the same as child pornography, my point being that businesses are regulated. They don't run rampant. So I appreciate you. I know you're up there to do the right thing, and I appreciate that. We may not always agree, but I thank you for listening to us, okay? And I thank you for wanting to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next then is Mr. Samir Sutaria.
Samir Sataria, Manatee County. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Samir Sataria. My family owns Petland Sarasota in Manatee County. We are a minority-owned small family business that has operated here for 2 years. We are grateful for your consideration to reverse the ban on the retail sale of puppies and are committed to working with City Council to abolish puppy mills in Manatee County. We employ over 20 hardworking employees and have contributed over $529,000 in tax revenue over the last 2 years. At the Petland family, we strive to maintain an environment with the highest standards in quality and care. We carefully vet our industry breeders to ensure that they are following the USDA regulations and only work with licensed breeders. If there are violations in the last 2 years, we refuse to work with those breeders. To be fully transparent, we also visit the breeders 1 or 2 times a year and show our customers pictures and videos of our trips. In addition, our customers receive all information on the breeders. We have made it our life's work to connect pets with people because that relationship makes life better. We are regulated by local, state, and federal laws. At Petland Sarasota, we are not here just to sell puppies. We want to ensure each puppy is happy and healthy so that they can be matched with the right families that will treat them with the utmost of respect and care. This will always remain our top priority. Pets and people belong together. That is our business. We follow the law and hold ourselves to the highest standard for our pets, our employees, and our community. We pay our sales tax, follow health codes, and joyfully give back where we can. Under that social contract, all we ask is for the right to exist. Please allow me and my family to continue to operate our family business. We urge you to reverse the ban on the retail sale of puppies. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else who would like to come forward who has not signed up to speak? You can come forward now. First and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name's Shannon Keever, and I am in Manatee County. I'm with Women's Voices of Southwest Florida. One thing Sarah Parker did ask me to pass along was don't accuse black leaders when they're not in the room to defend themselves. I think that was aimed at you, Commissioner Satcher, regarding your comments.
Ma'am, we're on
before.
Petland, if you want to stick to the agenda
yeah,
item. Thank you.
Yeah, we're on it when his comments about the Petland thing. So, Commissioner Cruz brought up that 70 municipalities have enacted a ban in Florida, setting a precedent that this ban is winnable in court. And I agree with him that it doesn't make sense to just, I feel like really you all are just using the whole legal issue as a scapegoat. You guys have been fine with spending Manatee County tax dollars on a whole lot of way more frivolous things. So it just doesn't feel very genuine to me when you use that as an excuse for why you want to overturn this. Commissioner Bearden brought up a quote by Ashley Moody that really to me sounds like she opposes puppy mills. And you guys do have the proof in your hands that Petland has received puppies and sold puppies from puppy mills. I was just wondering, going back to the stupid abortion ban thing that you guys did a couple years ago, you guys sent Ashley Moody a letter to ask her for guidance on whether that was in line with the Florida Constitution, and she denied it. Did you guys do that when you passed this puppy mill ban in the first place? I know you guys probably can't interact directly with me on that, but is that something that maybe you should do, that we'd be open to doing, to checking with her to see if that is in line with the state constitution, if she's supportive of it? Because, I mean, you're going to quote her, you might want to ask her. Just a thought. And then, Commissioner Ballard, I have to question. You said that banning these kinds of puppy mills or banning, businesses from selling, that it only pushes them underground. Do you think that's going to stop at the state level? Like if the state level bans these kind of businesses from selling puppy mill puppies, will that then completely stop the underground businesses? I mean, is that a good reason to overturn the ban? I just don't really think that that's a very strong argument. Anyways, those are my comments. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, please state your first name, your last name, your county of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Carol Whitmore, Carol Whitmore, former Manatee County Commissioner. I'm not lobbying anybody. I'm doing this on my own time as a private citizen. Commissioners, you keep talking about this is costing us a fortune. We haven't spent one dime yet. The ordinance hasn't started yet. We haven't even started the program yet. And the commission comes on and now you're trying to get rid of it. As you know, I worked on this for 10 years, or some of you know, and this is very, very disturbing to me that even Bob didn't show, where she's fought me from day one regarding this issue. She always didn't support it, so hopefully she's watching. You guys, remember last year when we did the Senate Bill 620, and it was to allow businesses to be able to, government couldn't interfere businesses if they made over a certain amount, and so we couldn't impress that on, and Governor DeSantis vetoed it. And the reason why he vetoed it is because Wilt Simpson his communication asked legal if this was a way to shield, to protect the puppy mills. And so when it got to the governor, he vetoed it. And there is documentation, and I'm sure you've seen it. And if not, I'll make sure you get it. The judge has already seen this case. Manatee County went across the street. Manatee County won, and then Petland appealed it. They had so many days to appeal it, and I don't understand where we're saying that it's costing all this money. We did all of it, and the judge said that our ordinance was solid. There's never been a county that ever lost a case on this, and we're doing this. And I understand. I've been up there, as you know, for 16 years. I understand, but just say it like somebody else in the public just said. You're doing this. If you're doing this because you support puppy mills, then say it. Don't say you're closing a business. That's ridiculous. So, I'm here. I'm very disappointed that this came up at your first meeting and Petland showed up. I think I was even still on the board then. In your ordinance, it says, whereas the board hereby finds that this is in the best interest of the public health, safety, and welfare of the county. Give me a break. You guys, you could have maybe been a little more decorum and brought this up after maybe your first 6 months in office. But this is very obvious. I know I'm not making any friends up here. I don't really care. I do care about the less fortunate in Manatee County, and that includes humans and animals. And we all should be going back to work and worrying about our people in Manatee County instead of some of this nonsense I've heard up here today. Thank you, and please don't shut me down. I'm leaving.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak for public comment? Yes, sir.
Hi.
First and last name, your county of
Neil
residence.
Benica,
You have 3 minutes.
Manatee. My name is Neil Benica, and I'm one of the 3 brothers that own Petland Bradenton. We've had it for the past 16 years. We're a family owned and operated and have combined over 50 years of experience in the pet industry. At Petland Bradenton, we have 25 employees that we refer to as a Petland family. Our employees have worked alongside our family business between 1 and 16 years. The amount of care and effort our employees put forth are second to none. We employ the highest standards of care when looking for happy, healthy pets for our customers. We are in fact part of the solution to the puppy mills, preventing a store like ours from selling puppies from professionally licensed breeders in good standing with the USDA only opens the door for consumers to find puppies from unregulated and unlicensed sources like puppy mills. To date, there is no evidence that HSUS or pro-ban individuals have actually visited or personally visited or inspected any of our breeders. It is all hearsay That is all conjecture. In fact, there is not a single statistic, there is not a single study out there that proves that any of these bad breeders have been closed because of a pet ban. The numbers are just not there. What we do know, in fact, is that 2 long-serving, law-abiding businesses will be forced to close. And over 50 Manatee County residences will lose their jobs. Myself and my 2 brothers' families will be left with empty shelves, impending bankruptcy and loss of everything we've ever worked for so hard. With your vote, we want to work with you to find solutions against puppy mills. Please vote to repeal the pet sale ban so consumers have the freedom to purchase the puppy of their choice. Perhaps it's a golden retriever or a German shepherd. Maybe someone likes a little dog, like a Yorkshire Terrier or a Min Pin. Please repeal the ban so consumers can purchase healthy puppies from our family-owned businesses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward? Yes, ma'am. Please state your first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Melissa Zepeda. I'm a resident of Pinellas County. I am part business owner, and my husband is part business owner of a business in Manatee County. I love the fact that several of you have pointed to defending the Constitution as part of your oath. I absolutely commend you for that, and I was very excited to learn that a lot of you were saying that you were going to be tied to supporting the Constitution. So allow me to quote Article 10, Section 32 of the Florida State Constitution. The humane treatment of animals is a fundamental value to the people of the state of Florida. That is in our state constitution. I searched last night, and for the life of me, I could not find the right to open a pet store. I could not find the right for a business to have a specific business plan. What I did find in our state constitution was that the humane treatment of animals is a fundamental value to the people of Florida. And so, to me, if you are going to tether yourself to defend the Constitution, then this ban must be upheld if you are going to take an oath to uphold that Constitution. If you're going to stand here on the dais and say we are standing for someone's rights, then please point to me in our state constitution where there is a right to operate and maintain a pet store. Please point to me in the Constitution where there is a right to open a business. There isn't any. There is Article 10, Section 32. And pet stores that source from puppy mills from out of state, it's not even supporting local breeders. That is not upholding the humane treatment of animals. So if you are a person of your word, and you spoke the last commissioners meeting about defending the Constitution and swearing an oath to the Constitution, then please uphold this ban to protect Article 10, Section 32. The second thing I'd like to do is take a trip down memory lane. 2018, it was the election year, and we can reminisce over some wonderful numbers. Ron DeSantis won this county by 57%. A glorious number, darn good. He was only beat out by Miss Ashley Moody, 59%. This is a red county, a proud red county, and a proud red state. But do you know what your Manatee counters also voted for that beat Mr. DeSantis and Miss Ashley Moody? The voters in this county, by 65.11%, voted for Amendment 13 to end dog racing in this state. There was a dog track with hundreds of jobs. There were almost a dozen racetracks across the state, and your voters, Manatee County voters, voted by 65% to shut it down. We are a red county. We support businesses, but we don't at the ethical consequences.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on the item on the floor? Yes, sir. Please, first name, last name, county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Luther Wilkins, Manatee County. I'm not here to speak about losing jobs. I'm only here speaking as a lifelong pet owner. I've had pets all my life except for the 14 years I served as a combat soldier. When I got out of the military, I immediately became a pet owner again. I've never bought a dog, but when I came to Sarasota County, I bought 2 dogs through a pet store. 2 years separated. The first dog I bought was sick. We healed him and got him. I got him from the pet store. The second dog I bought was sick that I got from the pet store. Those 2 dogs lived 12 and 14 years. I buried them in my backyard. After that, I decided to get another dog. I bought him from the pet store. Paid about $7,000 for this dog. I did get insurance on this dog. This dog was sick also. Took him to the doctor with the insurance. The insurance didn't pay right away. You had to pay up front. So if you don't have money to take care of these dogs, then you have to be reimbursed on that. We went through about 4 or 5 months of going back for the dog, talked to the pet store. Pet store said, bring him back, bring her back. I fell in love with the dog, but my wife told me to take him back because the dog wouldn't eat, wouldn't do nothing. They couldn't heal the dog. When I spoke with the pet store about the dog, and I asked them what were they going to do with the dog when I bring her back, and they said they was going to put her down. Right now, that dog is my best friend. She's 5 years old, and I never loved the dog so. I've never been against anything doing with anybody's job, but I do believe that those dogs that are sold at the pet store, there should be some type of regulation to find how many pups are lost at those centers. How many dogs do they actually put down? They're just sick. Because I bought 3, and I've had dogs all my life. All 3 of them were sick once I brought them home. Just so happened this last one I got insurance, because if I wouldn't have had insurance for this Great Dane that I bought, she would have been dead today. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak? First and last name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Holly Barber. I live in Sarasota County, and I am urging you not to repeal the prohibition on the sale of puppies in pet stores. With any business, we need to move with the times. Nobody wants to shut Petland down. Nobody wants to shut down a pet store business. The sale of pet accessories, beds, leashes, food, and so forth is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I had the dubious privilege of reading this 160-page document over the weekend, and no sane person could possibly look at the photocopies of these signed citations, look at the photographs that were taken, and call that a legitimate business. The issue is not even just shutting down puppy mills in Florida. There is a direct pipeline between the puppy mills mostly in the Midwest, Missouri and Wisconsin and so forth, to the Manatee County stores. I'm just saying that, when we call it an emotional issue, well, I'll give you a fact. All mammals have a full range of human emotions except for avarice and cruelty, which is specific to our species. And if I may get a little subjective for a moment, if you have ever looked into the eyes of an animal, you have to know that if you haven't been living under a rock. What I'm saying is we need to move with the times. You had your people vote against the dog racing in Manatee County. Understand that according to the Animal Legal Defense Fund, between 2017 and 2021, they found that 80% of people, and this was a huge cohort, 80% of people consider their pets part of the family. Another 17% consider their pets companions or pets in the traditional sense. Only 3% of these people consider their pets property. So all we're asking of Petland is to change their business model. This has been brought up before. They can make as much money as all the other places that have done it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on this item? So first and last name, your county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Kate McFall. I live in Leon County, and I'm the Florida State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. We know how this is going today, but it's important to lay out a few facts. Each of you, including the county attorney several months back, received the 160-page document with USDA documents proving that your local stores do purchase puppies from puppy mills, commercial breeders with egregious animal welfare violations. I hope that you have read the information. Even if you don't support the ordinance, I urge you to at least read the information. At the last meeting, Doug Polk said there's essentially a lawsuit in every location where a full ban has passed. Over 445 ordinances nationwide, 6 on the state level, about 20 legal challenges, all defeated. Commissioner Satcher mentioned hobby or small responsible breeders. They can continue selling to the public like they do today, and a responsible breeder would never sell their puppies to a store. The county attorney said there's uncertainty in this law. False. A handful of legal challenges, none have been successful. And Mr. Polk specifically mentioned Dallas. Petland just dropped their lawsuit in Dallas as they realized they were not going to win. Another county that wasn't mentioned by name was Martin County, who passed their ordinance in 2022. In December, they reiterated their commitment to phasing out the retail sale of pets, put it back to the original plan of 1 year. Commissioner Ballard, you said this ordinance does not actually serve its intended purpose. That's actually false. With 86 ordinances in Florida, 445 nationwide, and the 6 state, we have seen a decrease on average by 1/3 in the number of puppy mill puppies bred annually. That's a decrease of 1/3 puppy mill puppies bred. These ordinances are popular and they're working in red and in blue states. They are working. And people will go to underground breeders. I'm not even sure actually what that means, except I do know it's one of Petland's talking points. It's legal to sell puppies over the internet today, right now. They come from the same USDA licensed breeders that the pet stores buy from. The most recent numbers from the USDA say the more puppies sold in pet stores than over the internet. Anything other than that is just made up. Our focus has been on pet store sales because the numbers are higher, and we know that people want to see and hold the puppy in person. The county attorney mentioned that at the last meeting that the commercial, I agree with you, that's tough to watch. That's real footage from the USDA. It's upsetting. I totally agree with you. Many of you mentioned working on the state level. Rest assured, we're working on it. We're trying. But in the meantime, we have a lot of support from the right and the left. Things take a long time in Tallahassee, and we will continue to work on this on the state and local level. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz, for your great leadership on this, and we urge you to leave the ordinance in place.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on this item? Okay, seeing no one, we're going to close public comment at this time. There are no commissioners on the board for discussion. We've held public comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Mike Ron to approve the adoption of the ordinance, and that has been seconded by Commissioner Van Ostenbridge. Commissioner Cruz is now on the board.
I saturated the list.
That's okay. Yeah. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, we all know where this is going. So I just want to say, whether it's about this or it's about anything we do here, let's remember we all campaigned under this guise that grassroots wins things, and you got to start from the ground up. And we go up to Tallahassee every year and push back about home rule and how we should control what we do in Manatee County. We sit up here or talk on the side about the federal level. I mean, no one's up here bragging about how great the IRS is, the DOJ is, the FBI is. All I hear is negative connotations about the federal level. And then we go up to the state, and the bill that was trying to pass, the preemption, end all preemptions. In fact, it was just refiled again this year already. We all fought against that because we said the state can't tell us what to do. The local government knows best for what's in the best interest of local citizens and communities. And if you want to make the state listen, you need the grassroots. You need not 70 municipalities, you need 170 municipalities, because eventually the state's going to have to listen and say, this is the will of the people of the state of Florida. And when enough states do it, which they are, then the federal level will say, that's the will. It starts from the ground up, and that's what we're trying to do. It may not make a difference today, it may not make a difference tomorrow, but it could make a difference next year or a few years from now when more and more municipalities get the courage to do the right thing, because I think you all believe you should, because it was Commissioner Thatcher last meeting who said he wanted to direct looking at our animal abuse and animal welfare ordinances to tighten them up. So you believe in the best interest of the animals of Manatee County, but not to the extent where we actually have to do anything other than change an ordinance and pass it to code enforcement, because nobody's made tethering 100% illegal. USDA has said it's frowned upon. But we're actively finalizing a big campaign on tethering right now in Manatee County, because Manatee County, our animal services, and this board has said that's not the right thing for people to be doing to their dogs. Are people who own dogs and choose to tether to poles for 24 hours a day going to come in here and say it's unconstitutional, we can't tell them what to do with their dogs? No, we're not, because we said this is in the best interest. This is in the best interest of animal welfare for Manatee County. And we're here to protect everybody, from the people to the animals to everybody else in Manatee County. And I'm not going to wait for the state level or the federal level to tell me what's in the best interest of this county. I'm going to do the right thing for this county and make them tell me you've taken one step too far. But they're not, because we keep bringing up Ashley Moody. 70 different municipalities, more than 70 municipalities, have passed this ordinance. If it was illegal, if it was unconstitutional, you're telling me the Attorney General of the state of Florida wouldn't have swooped in there and shut those down? No, they 100% would have, because they have done it. And I believe when they've done it, it's always been for the right reason. But they have no quarrels about stepping in at the local level and saying, you've taken one step too far. They have not once. So this is not illegal. This is not unconstitutional. We heard from Petland Sarasota. You know why it's called Petland Sarasota and it's in Manatee County? Because they ran from Sarasota County when they passed this ordinance, and they knew they were going to lose. And so they came here, which is effectively the donut hole for these types of establishments. So, you know, don't say we're not hiding behind it. If we weren't hiding behind this legal issue, then it would be listed under commissioner agenda item, not listed under attorney.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bearden.
You know, I do want to do the right thing, and the right thing to do is to protect the Constitution. And I agree, inhumane practices are wrong, and I think that we should shut inhumane practices down. However, I don't see Petland doing anything inhumane right now, at all. Are they beating their dogs? Are they the ones performing acts of inhumane things? No, they're not, right? So I do protect constitutional rights. And you know, when we have former commissioners come up here and try to tell us certain things regarding pets, knowing the fact when certain commissioners have purchased puppies from Petland and tries to reprimand us for making decisions on this, is the reason why I'm up here today, because I do protect constitutional rights. I'm not in the business of shutting down a small business. I'm not in the business of mandating a vaccine on somebody. I'm not in that business, and I never will be, because I understand the Constitution to a point to where I've seen the blood that's been shed for it. I've seen limbs that have been blown off for it. So can't come up here and tell me about the Constitution when I've experienced the Constitution. So the right thing to do is to protect the Constitution, because you swore an oath when you raised your right hand to do that, and your primary role is to protect the Constitution. So I will hold you accountable for this, Commissioner Cruz, because you swore the oath, and so did I and everybody else up on this stand. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Cruz, your reference. Would you like to respond, sir?
No, and I appreciate your service. And I look forward to you upholding the Constitution when it comes to freedom of speech and freedom of the press and everything else we've been discussing up here during the course of today. Because the Constitution's a Constitution. You don't get to pick and choose which ones you want to follow based upon the will of your desire. So, you know, when we get people emailing us from certain groups in Manatee County about shutting down the otherwise legal TikTok app because, you know, that's illegal and we shouldn't be shutting that down on our phones. When we start having discussions about materials, we shouldn't be shutting that down. It's freedom of press, freedom of speech, and we should leave it to the federal level to shut that down if they deem that to be inappropriate. So I appreciate your views on those matters.
Thank you, sir. And Constitution aside, we do have in Manatee County a tethering ordinance that is active and it is enforced by our animal protection officers and law enforcement. It's not federal, it's a Manatee County ordinance, but I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so there are no other commissioners on the board. We've held public comment. The motion has been made to approve by Ron and seconded by Van Ostenbridge. We can cast our votes at this time. And Madam Clerk, it passes by a vote of 5-1 with Commissioner Cruz in opposition. Thank you. We are now going to move to item number 21 from the consent agenda, which was pulled by Commissioner Ron, and I'll turn the floor over to him to introduce item 21.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick.
Please, as you exit the chamber, please do it in an orderly fashion because the meeting is still going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I wanted to basically pull this item was I just wanted to tell staff, thank you so much for bringing this item forward. Lockwood Ridge Road is probably the poster child in Manatee County for potholes. And I appreciate staff seeing this as a need. Huh? Well, they already made it. It's okay. They already beat me to it. But I just want to tell staff, thank you so much for bringing this forward. The people in my district, which is mostly all is in my district, appreciate the fact that Lockwood Ridge Road will be repaved and will become basically drivable again. In some spots, it's not. So, Mr. Chair, that's the reason I brought that forward and wanted to pull this. Thanks, staff.
Thank you, sir. Valid. It certainly has been needed to prepare for a long time, and $10 million expenditure is not something to just sort of overlook when we're up here on the board. All right, so the motion to approve has been made by Commissioner Bearden and seconded by Commissioner Ballard. We'll open up the resurfacing of Lockwood Ridge to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on this paving project? All right, seeing no one, we'll close public comment, and now Commissioner Ballard is on the board. Ma'am.
So I echo Commissioner Ron's sentiments. I was actually just driving on Lockwood Ridge this weekend, and the work is desperately needed. So I'm excited to see this come forward as well.
And thank you, Dr. Hopes, to your administration and staff for getting this done in such a quick manner. Kind of got bulldogged through here lately, but we're happy that it did, and we appreciate all the work they're doing. Motion by Commissioner Bearden, second by Ballard. No one else is on the board, so we'll cast our votes at this time. We already held public comment? Yep.
Good.
Madam Clerk, it passes by a vote of 6-0. All right. I'm a little turned around in my agenda here, so let me get back to it. We'll go to item number 46. Which is an administrator item. Dr. Hopes, I'll let you introduce that item.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is, I was looking for Shay, but this is related to the tax exemption for power design. It originally would have started, I think it was last year, and because of the opening date of their manufacturing facility, this is the first year of starting it is being changed, and that's what this ordinance does.
Okay, pretty simple explanation. Commissioners, would anyone request a presentation on this item? Okay, no presentation needed. Then we have a motion to approve, Madam Clerk, item number 46, motion by Commissioner Bearden, and that is seconded by Commissioner Satcher. We'll open 46 up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 46? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment, and we can cast our votes at this time. Madam Clerk, it passes unanimously by a vote of 6-0. Item number 47 is also an administrator item. Dr. Hopes?
Yes, Commissioners and Mr. Chair, this is a clarifying a technical error in description for the parish TIF, the Parish Area Improvement District, and it is a correction.
Okay, thank you, sir. Would anyone like a presentation on the scrivener's error? Okay, hearing none, we'll open this to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 47 regarding the parish TIF boundaries? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment at this time. There's a motion to approve item 47 by Commissioner Satcher. It's seconded by Commissioner Van Ostenbridge. We cast our votes now. And it passes, Madam Clerk, unanimously by a vote of 6-0. Item number 48 is financial management. Dr. Hopes, why don't you go ahead and introduce that one?
Yes, Commissioners, and this is a minor change in the description. As you know, with the infrastructure sales tax, we have to be pretty specific with regards to the adoption of budget amendments related to that. If you have any questions, our CFO is in the room.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the CFO? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion by Commissioner Ron. It's been seconded by Commissioner Bearden. One person has signed up to speak for public comment, Tracy Lipton. Is she in the chamber? Okay, is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak on item number 48? Seeing no one, we're going to close public comment. Motion by Ron, second by Bearden. We can
And
cast
Mr.
our
Chairman,
votes.
if I might just mention, the text of it is moving the sheriff substation from a prior location to Premier. It's for the sheriff.
Sure, I'm aware. I thought that had been done long ago, actually. Okay, we're casting our votes now. And it passes unanimously by a vote of 6-0. Item number 49 is property management. Dr. Hopes, you want to introduce that?
Yes, sir. I am happy to announce this. This is in Commissioner Satcher's district. This is the FDOT property that we've been discussing ways to execute on this transaction for nearly 2 years. And this acquisition of property from FDOT will provide the property for Phase 2 of the Parish Park that is right off of Fort Hamer. And with Commissioner Satcher's approval, we'll just like to put up a couple slides for you.
Yes, sir. Charlie Bishop, Deputy County Administrator. As Dr. Hopes mentioned, Commissioner Satcher's led the way to help us acquire this property. This is a great benefit for the community of Parish. Charles Metter and Tim Cristello has been working with FDOT to acquire this land. Tom Yarger behind me will give you a brief overview of what we plan for Phase 1 and potentially Phase 2 of the Parish Park. Charles, you want to talk about the land first?
Yeah, sure, I can. Charles Metter, Property Acquisition Division Manager. Basically, it's 14.6 acres we're acquiring from FDOT. It's at appraised value. We've done our due diligence. We've done an environmental site assessment. We've walked the land, and so the agreement's in place here. And so this is your standard FDOT contract to purchase the land from FDOT.
And I might add, Commissioners, that where we finally settled with FDOT is that they agreed to take the money that we are paying for the land and direct those funds to a Manatee County state road project. And that state road project is the roundabout, the north end of Longboat Key.
Happy to hear that.
In your district.
Yes.
We moved money from District 1 to District 3.
District 3. That's good cooperation. I like that. We'll keep that momentum going. All right, are we going to hear from Mr. Yarger?
Yes, this is
Okay.
Tom Yarger with Property Management. Going to talk with you a little bit about the Phase 1, Phase 2 design for the Parish Community Park. So this is a 60% design phase. We were at 60%. There's a few modifications from this drawing, but we haven't completed the revised 60% drawings yet. But you can see there's a performance pavilion in the center. And then a flex lawn festival grounds is actually labeled as number 2. There's a playground with a play tower, splash pads, picnic shelters, a restroom building. There's a boardwalk around the outside. You can kind of see that up by the wetland 3, and enhanced drainage. And items number 13, a dog park, is one of the things that we are not currently constructing with the Phase 1 improvements. And there's also item number 3, which is a fitness center in the middle of the right part of the screen, a little fitness area that is also not going to be constructed with Phase 1. The conceptual.
I just had this is a quick question. I'm sure there's a logical answer. Is there a reason we're not doing the dog park? It seems like the cheapest part of this entire thing. It's like a fence.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, what we're currently doing in order to enhance soccer activities at Buffalo Creek Park, which is very close to this one, we're actually moving the current dog park to Ola May Sims, and we're enhancing the dog park at Ola May Sims. We're actually making it larger, providing pavilions, and we're going to utilize, with Commissioner Satcher's help, we're going to utilize that corner in a different potential.
So there's a chance this won't be, because those two parks are very close to each other.
They're all three very close together.
All right.
We're enhancing the dog park at Ola May Sims.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on phase one?
Nope.
Okay, phase two, this is the conceptual of phase two. It's up there, you can see there are two soccer fields at the top of the screen. They're actually multi-purpose fields, not just soccer fields, they're shown as soccer. At the top of the screen is a frisbee golf, which is a sport that's getting a lot of attention right now. We have sand volleyball courts. There's a potential for a competition pool, administration building, gymnasium in the 17 to 19 area, which is just below the two multi-use fields. And then we have the restroom and concession facility and enhanced parking and a youth area at number 16. So to see what they both look like together on the combined parcel that's what it looks like.
It's too much. We can scale that back, I think.
Our current plan is we're doing everything we can.
Well, I don't see the 15 covered pickleball courts.
Premier.
You're not West Bradenton. Calm down.
Well, the chair's experience in bocce ball.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We appreciate
This
it.
is-
And Mr. Satcher,
All right, Mr. Satcher.
there's your
Commissioner.
Thank
park.
you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just really excited about this entire project. Thank you so much for your hard work and the support of the board has been, unwavering. And when you think through, there's not a park in Parrish. And a lot of people live there. And so, we're just getting started. We're still, behind in this particular area, but we're catching up fast. There's other plans that are coming to pass, I believe, quickly. And so I'm excited about that. I think I'd be remiss if I weren't to thank the DOT, our administrator, Dr. Hopes, LK Nandam at the DOT. The PCA did a lot of the, initial ideas and things for this and brought the idea forward. And so I'm glad that I was, able to play a part. And Commissioner Cruz has also played a good part in this. So there's just plenty of thanks to go around. And of course, we'll be even more excited when we're, seeing kids play. And that's really what we're looking forward to. But I do have a lot of just appreciation for everyone involved. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of happy kids. And one thing I will say about that, what did y'all call it, festival grounds? So anyway, the open area in the middle of phase one, it's gonna be wired so that, when they have different events, food trucks, things like that, tents, et cetera, around the outside, so that people can come, plug in, and really just be a place that the community can go. And great location, close to the high school, right between the new buildings in North River Ranch and the older part of town in the Parish Village. Just really great project. So thank you so much, everyone. And I think I made the motion, and I appreciate y'all's support.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, just thank you to Charlie Bishop and Tom Yager and all you guys for the work that you're doing. We've put a lot on your plates. We appreciate everything you're doing for us and for the people of the county. Okay, we're going to open this up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 48, which is the Parish Park deal with FDOT? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment. There's been a motion, Madam Clerk, by Commissioner Satcher to approve this item. It was seconded by Commissioner Cruz. We're going to cast our votes at this time. And the vote passes unanimously by a vote of 6-0. All right. I'll tell you what, we have two more. I'll tell you what, Chad, let's go ahead and do 52 now. So we'll do the authorization to install speed humps on Twin Rivers. This is a presentation scheduled. Who is here to represent staff?
Good afternoon. This is Vishal Kakkad, Traffic Engineering Division Manager with Public Works Department. As Chair pointed out, this is we are requesting board's approval to install speed humps on Twin Rivers Trail. There is a map included in your agenda packet, but I have one over here as well. So this is the main street, Twin Rivers Trail, off of Golf Course Road, and we are proposing it at 3 locations. And the map actually shows, if you see those green dots. So we followed Board of County Commissioners' current procedures, and we got community support for those. Just to give you a brief overview, the one at the top, it's next to a playground. That location, the one in the middle is in middle of that straight stretch of the road in front of the residents' homes, and the southern end is also by an open property, which is on the southern end of where the homes are. So those are the three locations that we are proposing the speed humps. Excuse me. Following your procedures, if it is approved today, then as usual, we will be putting 3 temporary speed tables, the rubber ones, or speed humps, and then get community feedback. Generally, they would like to see, hey, this is not what I thought it would be, or this is exactly what I thought it would be. And then based on that feedback, then we will come back and make them permanent asphalt ones. So we are here to get your authorization on that.
Thank you, sir. There's been a motion by Commissioner Bearden to approve, a second by Commissioner Ron. Before we open this up to public comment, I'll just state that, in brief, I don't believe it is the role of government to construct obstacles in the road that tear up one's vehicle using our tax dollars. And so I always oppose speed humps and speed tables when they come forward, so I will be voting no. We'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward at this time to speak on item number 52, which is speed humps on Twin Rivers Trail? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment. There's no one else on the board. We'll hold the vote at this time. You like that timing, Commissioner Cruz? I do. Okay. And Madam Clerk, it passes by a vote of 5-1 with Van Austin Bridge in opposition. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for all the work you're doing over there in that department.
Traffic.
And yeah, it's traffic engineering. We appreciate you. So then we'll go to item number 51, which I believe is our final item of the day. I know I've jumped around quite a bit, but I believe item 51 is our final item of the day. It is an attorney item, so I'll allow Mr. Clegg.
Mr. Clegg, please.
You almost got a promotion you don't want.
I have no chance of winning
yeah.
election to be a commissioner. This item is another one the board directed me to put on the agenda on the 10th of January, and it is a resolution R-23-023, to designate the commissioner aides to be under the supervision of commissioners rather than the county administrator. I think I can walk you through it pretty quickly. It follows examples that we researched from other jurisdictions. Once again, it designates you as their supervisors. It places them in the administration side of the county under the county's personnel policies, but those are established by this board. And it places authority for compensation and the number of aides under your budgetary decision-making, and the hiring of them is facilitated by the administrator, but the hiring decisions are to be made by the individual commissioners in terms of whom they want working for them as their aides. So that's a general summary, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be happy to answer any questions commissioners may have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I 100% support this, obviously, but I do think we need to make sure we're clarifying this to the extent, and this may be outside the scope of this resolution. I think the resolution accomplishes what we wanted, but we do need to make sure we're coming up with the right framework in terms of hours that they're working and expenses and things like that, which is kind of silent on this. I did talk to my aide and Commissioner Baugh's aide, Dana, upstairs about what they did, because she was a commissioner aide in Seminole County. One thing she did mention was in Seminole, it was always the aide of the chairman who was effectively the lead aide who would consolidate that and kind of be that position. I'd be fully on board with Jorge being the effective lead aide as we formalize this to make sure we have one go-to person relative to some of this as opposed to just 4 independent people. But I think that what we're voting on is perfectly fine. I just want to throw that out there while we're talking about it.
Mr. Chair, could I briefly respond to that?
Please.
So, thank you, Commissioner Cruz. The intention is to get you started here, and there are some details that will need to be filled in once the resolution is adopted. And that's the way we found it in other jurisdictions as well. So it has to be implemented through whatever procedures you all decide to put in place, or you can do that through the HR director in terms of their hours, who works, who coordinates with whom. I didn't want to try to get into that detail because I was afraid you wouldn't get where you need to be as quickly as you need to be there. So that's why it's more of an authorizing document.
Agreed. And like I said, I think what you put in front of us is perfectly acceptable, and I'm voting in favor. I'm just throwing it out since we're having this conversation prior to the end of the day, that I do think we need to make sure we're putting that framework in place. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck having 4 additional employees we don't know what to do with and how that's being structured. And we don't want to leave them in limbo any longer than need be. There's already been questions about how does it work in terms of their conversations directly with HR and who do they report to, what do they do with timesheets. There's been some questions they don't have answers to. I think we owe it to them, especially since 3 of them are brand new, that we put together that framework. I was just saying, as an example, I think the lead aide idea is a good one, and I do support the concept of having the aide of the chair be that person.
Commissioner Bearden.
I was under the understanding that the aides directly report to whoever the commissioners are that they're working for. Is that what you're kind of going
Well,
at?
I think at the end of the day, the aides are all the same position, so I don't know if we can have 4 different aides with 4 different sets of requirements in terms of hours and pay and how they turn things in. We need to have some commonality there, yes.
There is some bureaucracy associated with employees, and they'll have to be housed in all of that. But the resolution is very clear that their supervisors to whom they report for doing their jobs are the commissioners on this board.
Dr. Hopes.
Yeah, Commissioners, this is the starting point, and we've got a lot of work to do with the clerk's office with setting up keys and getting the lead commissioner who's agreed to directly supervise and approve timesheets and things like that. So we'll get with you on all the practical aspects of the next steps. It's in the works. You needed to approve this first.
When do we anticipate, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Cruz.
Okay. When do we anticipate doing that? Because I do have some ideas so we can get that done.
It's-
Like I would
it's
say,
a-
I think a lead commissioner, since we're setting a policy not based on the 7 of us, but for the future Manatee County, I think that makes sense just to have the vice chair be the lead commissioner, because the chairman already is overwhelmed with work as it is, and that sets some sort of a role for the vice chair year after year, and the aide of the chair is the lead aide. I think if we have a little bit better framework, it makes things seamless on a year-by-year basis.
I think by lead commissioner, though, you meant if 2 commissioners are sharing an aide.
Right.
One of those is designated for the timesheet and.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Can I change my mind on that one?
Okay.
Commissioner Ballard, go for it.
Are you trying to get on the board as well? Okay. Okay.
You can take care of that, Commissioner Ballard.
And David, I think Bearden is the last one who's having trouble with his device working to get him posted on the board. Okay, we'll open this to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward to speak on item number 50, I believe 2, which is Commissioner Aids, 51, which is Commissioner Aids, 52, no, 51, you're right, 51, Commissioner Aids. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment at this time. There's been a motion to approve item number 51 by Commissioner Satcher, seconded by Commissioner Van Ostenbridge. We can cast our votes at this time. And it passes unanimously by a vote of 6-0. Okay, it is 12:10, Commissioners. We've completed the agenda. Do any commissioners have commissioner comments that they would like to add before we adjourn? No? Okay, all right. Dr. Hopes, anything to add?
Sir, great meeting.
Mr. Clegg?
No, sir.
Okay, in that case, we're adjourned. I'll see you Thursday.